Oh, what's that? Because Rhys Colley wins by 4 legs to 1.
He's playing to me half a smile on his face, doesn't he, Martin Adams, which may now becoming a full smile.
Game shot the 4th leg. Paul Hogan. Game shot and the
Oh, I like this a lot. Oh, yeah. I'm all over that. Wonderful. Double 16. Oh, brilliant.
Jack took the ball for a biggie.
game shot.
A very good evening. Welcome along to the live lounge here in Portsmouth for a Thursday night at the Dart, which is littered with legends who have won on some of the biggest stages in the sport. We have a 3-time Lakeside champion in Martin Adams, Paul Hogan, who became a little bit of a specialist on that stage himself. Kurt Parry, the reigning champion of champions, ADC winners in Stephen Johnston and Tom Sykes as well. It's going to be an evening littered with heroes and villains. And talking about heroes and villains, alongside me here in the studio is Nicholson. Paul Nicholson, dressed as if he's going to have a fight with James Bond, but what a fight we've got here in Group B this evening.
Been looking forward to this all week. We only knew 3 of the combatants that we were guaranteed to get, but now that we've got Johnston and Sykes in the mix, there's so many questions that need to be asked. Obviously, when it comes to Tom, we know that he's not too perturbed by not winning Group A, because even though he played some superb stuff, he's actually sent a post out on X this week saying he's quite happy to make Group B in what's a very competitive week. But tonight's going to be great.
It really is going to be good fun, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in just a second. But first and foremost, let's talk about what we saw this afternoon in Group C, because it's the ADC qualifier, Matt Cast, that leads the way. 4 wins from 5 on his opening day, on his second appearance here. And it's fair to say we saw a real improvement from his first time here at the Live Lounge.
Yeah, I think if you look at his first 4 games, he averaged in the low 80s, but he was doubling better as the day went on. He saved his best for last. We all thought that maybe we were going to have 3 players on 6 points, 3 players on 4 points, but it was Matt that did that against Damien Moll and stopped him from getting off the foot of the table. So everybody's still in the mix for tomorrow, but Matt is the one with the head start.
As far as Rhys Colley is concerned, he was probably the player going into this Group C campaign that everybody thought should make his way out of it. Kind of another day of compare and contrast as far as he was concerned.
First couple of games, I was quite worried about Rhys Colley. His demeanour wasn't great, but by the end of the day, when he was playing against Jimmy Van Schie, hitting 2 1-2-1 checkouts, they had a game that we won't forget. It was brilliant. 7 180s in there. Really good spirit as well between the 2 combatants. It was just a special match to watch and to listen to. But both of those guys still in the mix tomorrow. But the important thing for Rhys is that he really did get some impetus going into Friday.
So that is Group C. We'll watch that action again from 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But we're midway through the week now. This is how the tournament bracket breaks down. Darryl Pilgrim won a real dramatic final day in Group A yesterday. And tonight's attention is on Group B, where Stephen Johnston and Tom Sykes battle their way alongside Kurt Parry, Paul Hogan and Martin Adams, who enter the competition. I want to begin by talking about Stephen Johnston, in particular the heartbreaking way in which he missed out in qualification through to Saturday night in Group A. Could there be a hangover this evening from that disappointment?
Absolutely. I don't know Stephen myself. I haven't spoken to him. So by that token, I don't know his tendencies. I don't know what he's made of. But if we talk about someone who's got Scottish granite in their blood, then maybe he's going to find a way to forget about what happened over the first 3 days and try and progress through a very tough group. But my word, he's got to be able to forget about it. Otherwise, there will be a hangover.
And there's always excitement in this building when the 3-time Lakeside champion Martin Adams enters the fray. Played well at the Champion of Champions, showed his battling qualities against Phil Taylor, and was just edged out by the eventual winner of that competition in Richie Howson.
Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see what we get from Martin, because he's not getting any younger, and we know that he's not maybe at the fittest, but his ability to grind results out and still play great darts in his 60s, it's legendary. And when he walks in the building, we all start to smile. It's great to have Martin around still. I'll be interested to see where he lies after day 1.
So those are the runners and riders as far as this evening is concerned. Let's see what the bookies think about the action tonight, because it's Tom Sykes that goes off the 11-8 favourite. And on the basis of play over the last few days, it's perhaps not a surprise as to why.
I think the bookies may have got it wrong a couple of times this week, but I don't think they have tonight. I think Sykes' favourite, that's spot on for me. I like Kurt Parry at the minute. He's just not putting a great deal of pressure on himself. I think he can go up there and fly a little bit. Paul Hogan at 15-4 to try and edge his way through to Saturday night. I can see that happening, actually. But Martin, as the outsider, I'm not surprised to see that. But let's face facts. He's still wolfy. He's still chucking darts that are troubling the likes of Phil Taylor, with who we beat very recently as well. So that could be a bit of a price to look at.
There's still life in the old wolf yet as we head towards the midnight hour here at the Super Series. 18 plus, speedgambleaware.org if you're going to have a punt on any of the action this evening, which is going to kickstart with Kurt Parry in action. He was superb the last time he was here in Portsmouth, was just edged out on the Saturday night. He's hoping to make a first appearance at Champions Week this time around. The reigning champion of champions is looking to live up to that mantle here over the next few days. And earlier on this evening, I caught up with him. Kurt, back again for another stint at the Super Series. Last time we saw you here, you played so well, but just missed out. Is that a little bit of retribution on your mind coming back here?
Not really. I think, it can be different every time you come here. I could play just as well and not get anywhere. I could play worse and get through, It's sort of on the night, so I'm not really thinking too much into it.
Where is your form now compared to that blistering one that we saw from you a couple of months ago?
Not too bad. I haven't played an awful lot, but, bits here, bits there, and in patches is good. It's just if it comes together tonight.
I get the sense of you're one of those players that gets a sense of feel whilst in the midst of competition.
Yeah, definitely. Like most, you have a good day and you have a bad day, and then you have another good day. Sometimes there's no way of putting your finger on it. That's just how it goes, and that's pretty much how I just leave it to that, really.
Where is the darts career of Kurt Parry? Of course, we saw you win the Champion of Champions last year, and you're in very good form. What's the goals and expectations this year?
Well, obviously, it'd be nice to win it again, which hasn't been done, and it'd be nice to do that. Not just for that reason, because obviously to win any tournament is good, but yeah, we just see how it goes and hopefully head towards Q School next year, and if I feel it's right to go, I'll go. If not, I'll have another go of doing other things, but I'm not really putting too much on it. Just play darts and see where it leads me.
In terms of this year, how hard is winning one of these weeks for yourself?
Oh yeah, it's massive. The quality is every week in this, like tonight again, it's fantastic quality here again. So to get through this group will be massive, and to win the week will be even more. If it goes, it goes.
And we look forward to watching you play. Kurt, all the very best. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And what a mouth-watering first game this could be beneath the roof here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Parry takes on Tom Sykes, the man who almost lifted the big jackpot here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth in the middle of February. He had to watch on as the confetti rained down upon Scott Taylor here on the South Coast. Kurt Parry, well, he'll set his sights on something similar. Winner of the Champion of Champions, which is one of the biggest events on the amateur circuit last year, takes on the Series 6 runner-up Tom Sykes, a 31-year-old from Castleford who really has been the gem that's been unearthed here at the Live Lounge in 2024. And it's been shown this week in times, not just in terms of his performances, but the way that players have played against him. Paul Nicholson has joined me here in the commentary box. There's been times this week where players have upped their game, in particular for the game against Tom Sykes.
Oh, absolutely. Let's give you an example of that. Oh, second dart 75 of the night is a Robin Hood riding through the glen. Anyway, back to your question, Henry. Or are we just going to be completely interrupted by darting brilliance by these two for the next 15 minutes or so? It might not even last that long because they're both quick. But yes, Tom Sykes has been upstaged. I'm just going to be quiet.
Start as you mean to go on, Tom. Get it out of the way with first leg of the night.
We've been 7 deep today. Any advance on 7? Any advance? We're going to stay with 7. That's the best
89.
we've had. Hope it's not downhill from here. I will answer your question in the next leg.
Well, that's the second time this week that Tom Sykes has gone to the 8th dart of a perfect leg.
140
Parry, though,
Tom
has
the
left
record,
himself
52.
in close order, so if Sykes doesn't take this out, Parry could pick up the
32.
pieces.
Go your record, 55.
Last thing you want to do is give Kurt Parry some crumbs, but that's a bad dart. Dart 3.
15.
Well, he's got every right
John, the
to
required
feel
20.
a little bit aggrieved with himself because he only had 1 dart to the outer ring. He should have had 2. Well, how does he get past that? From the left. Oh, hang on a minute. What a
Game shown
dart
the
that
first
is
leg.
from Sykes.
Tom Sykes.
My word. He almost went into Warrior 3 in yoga just before he did that shot.
Second leg, it's Tom to throw first. Game on.
Well, what did you ask again?
About players raising their game against Tom Sykes.
85.
I'm just going to wait to see if he got another 180 to interrupt us. But he didn't this time. So, to answer your question, of everybody
41.
in Group A this week, it was Sykes that averaged the most for the week. 92.51 with 37% on the doubles. And he
99.
finished 3rd. If that doesn't prove it, I don't know what does. But how about Stevie Johnston?
180.
He came 2nd eventually. Didn't average that close to Sykes, but he beat Sykes
100.
3 times. They will have a rematch tonight in Game 7.
60.
But really interesting overnight that Sykes posted on X that he was fairly happy with making to Group B.
93.
I think he knows what this is all about. It's not about winning Group A and then failing on a Saturday. It's about making Saturday and succeeding on a Saturday.
140. Tommy record 124.
Well, he got the break in the first. Can he find a hold in the second? Well, he's missed the big number. The cardinal sin. And so Parry's going to return to break back.
That's the area of the board where we've seen more missed singles than anything else.
84.
It's getting a bit silly now how many times people have missed a single 14. Another one. Oh, my word. That were close.
60. Tommy record
Everything
40.
about that was awkward. And Sykes steps up for a 2-0
from the
lead. He
second
pins the
leg
tops.
from Sykes.
And he is halfway towards the finishing post. 2-0 to the Yorkshireman.
Not the ideal start for
Feel like it's
Kurt.
Kurt to throw
Great to
first.
see him back.
Game on.
Superb player. An even better fella. But equipment changes since we last saw him. He's not using molded
140.
flight technology at this stage. He's gone back to polystems and foldable flights. And he's also gone to a longer point, which is something that
96.
Tom Sykes was fiddling with on Monday morning. Look at those javelins.
57.
Honestly, Steve Backley wouldn't be able to throw those. They'd be too long.
$100.
Yeah, good numbers from both. But then again, dart players are very comfortable with playing at this time.
180.
Is there any better throw at this level of darts than Kurt Parry's? I challenge you to give me a better one.
96.
With maybe the
David
exception of
Maguire,
Mike Warburton from last
124.
week, because that is a wonderful throw.
It's Rolls Royce. Oh, hello. We love the 14s route here.
78.
You're a big fan, aren't you, of the 14s of 1-2-4?
Yeah, I do like that. That's a Barry Van Peer shot, that right there.
139.
But he can't miss the shots this time. Give yourself 2 darts at tops, Kurt. Well done. Now hit it.
16.
He didn't follow the script.
Tommy requires 70.
And in the space of 5 minutes, he could find himself 3-0 down. Sykes can accrue the double break here and put himself in pole position in the opening match of the night.
35.
But there's been a few
Tommy
darts in
required
this
40.
game, despite the quality on show, that is veered wide.
Double 5.
30.
That
Tommy
has
required
been a bit of an
35.
Achilles heel in the career of Kurt Parry. Too many missed darts at double, and he hasn't got the backdrop of a second group this week. Last time he was here, he's in Group A, then Group B.
Games on the third leg.
And this
Tom
time he's only got Group B, and he's 3-0 down to Tom Sykes, who does now have that double break.
You feel
Well,
like
it's
what
time to
happened in
go
Group
first,
A
eh?
has served him as extra determination in the back of the mind. And he doesn't want to go through that particular fate, that particular misfortune again.
60.
I'm going early. In fact, if you'd have asked me at the top of the show, I would have given you this answer ahead of this game. But there's no doubt in my mind that Tom Sykes is going to Saturday. The way he's playing the best darts of his life over the last few months. He's still throwing with fluency. And I see no way that he fails in this Group B challenge.
60.
What is it like being in the moment Tom Sykes is in? Because you had that period, didn't you, where for a year you must have felt on top of the world.
Oh, absolutely. Middle of 2011, I thought I was the best player in the world. Won 3 Players' Championships, made the quarters of the UK Open. I genuinely thought I was the best. And when that's the case, you just want to keep playing. You want to keep winning. You don't care who you play. But I really do think there's another level to Tom Sykes' game.
100.
I think he'll find it.
161.
Well, Parry can't find the 161, and it might be the last darts he throws in this match. Missed 7 darts at a double. And that has been the Welshman's
41.
undoing as
Tommy
Sykes comes back for
76.
76 to still quite a comprehensive 4-0 victory, averaging just under 96.5. And if he can pin double 8 and now double 4,
No score.
but again,
But
it's
you recall
another
120.
wild dart.
That makes 3 of them in this match. Oh, my word!
Game
How
shot on the
close was
fourth
that
leg.
single to busting it?
Parry.
He's done it twice in this game, but at least that time he's hit the tops. Dicing with game
Fifth
death
leg,
there,
it's
Kurt
to
boy.
throw First. Game on.
Having a close encounter of a clipper. I know what that feeling is like today.
96.
Yeah, Henry Dickon looks like Scarface. Don't go to that barber.
58.
I hope the barber didn't say hello to my little friend.
It was at that point I ran out of the building.
60.
Well, Tom's got to be careful in this situation.
85.
He's had a few wild darts, like you mentioned, Henry. And Kurt is the kind of player that if he gets a little purple patch rolling,
55.
he can get you out of this match with a loss in about 4.5 minutes. So be careful. This is a very
96.
slippery format. Get it done before they have a chance to get you done.
It's not like the type of distances that you'll see over most televised darts where you've got a bit of room for manoeuvre over a best of 19. These guys can quickly swing one way and
98.
another. And Sykes is now so experienced in this format that he will know about that kind of intricacy as Parry looks to rally back. And in terms of setups,
Tommy
you can't get any better than that.
164.
But this is for the match.
Stay there. Bullseye for the match.
127.
He's getting closer.
Kurt, you require 16.
Now this is to bring it back to 3-2. 1 from 8 on the doubles,
Game shot on the
but
fifth
finds
leg.
a way
Kurt
through
Parry.
and forces Sykes to serve it out in the 6th.
Do you know what, Henry? I think this is a really good
Sigler gets
worst
Tom to
case
throw
scenario
first.
now for Kurt,
Game on.
because it could have been a bageling. Now he's eroding the damage, and he's thinking to himself, do you know what?
85.
I've won the last couple of legs. If I do that again, I'll make him feel really bad. Nothing is worse in this format than losing from 3-0 up.
At what point in Tom Sykes' mind do the
59.
doubts begin to creep in?
They've already been in for a leg. He will understand just how
57.
good Kurt Parry is. And the last thing you want to see him doing is bearing down on you.
96.
The average height of this group has gone down by about 3 feet because Jimmy Van Schie's in the other one.
We've actually attached
60.
the roof onto the building tonight.
Yeah, it's a good job the weather in Portsmouth is dismal.
Normal week then.
91.
I like a bit of al fresco darts. Had it in Dubai a few years ago. Played some outdoor tournaments in
82.
Melbourne at Etihad Stadium.
Tommy Require, 170.
But Tom, who missed a 164 for the match, has now got a chance of a 170, and it's all part of our quick fire questions for the players. If you're on 170 and you've got 2 treble 20s, do you go for it or lay up?
130.
Go for it.
He went for it. He didn't find it, but he's going to come back for another opportunity. But this is going to be under all sorts of pressure with Parry bearing down his neck to level this game up.
He's had 4 match starts already. 2 of them at the bull, 2 at the outer ring. But now he goes back to the outer ring to get it done. And he does get it done. That was a really good competitive match. That Tom Sykes did boss at times. Kurt had his chance to get back into the match, but ultimately he could not take leg 6 to take us all the way. As far as the leg difference is concerned, and it might be a big thing over the next couple of nights, Kurt did erode some of the damage, but Tom Sykes, who has been over 90 so many times this week already, has done it again, and he's done so by missing 10 darts at a double in that match. So he starts with a win. Let's go through to our next match, and it is coming up.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Tom Sykes got the better of Kurt Parry by 4 legs to 2 in our opening game of the evening. Sykes racing into a 3-0 lead before Parry reeled off a couple of legs in succession, but Sykes getting the job done and picking up the first rubber as far as this group is concerned. Next up for us, a first look at Paul Hogan this week. Crocodile Dundee back at the Super Series, ever present as far as this competition is concerned. Stephen Johnston was hoping he wasn't going to be here this evening, having just missed out in Group A. But here's Paul Hogan, 3-time quarter-finalist at the BDO World Championships, the 60-year-old from Basingstoke, having a bit of a renaissance on the World Seniors Tour as of late. As for Stephen Johnston, well, the man from Falkirk, well, he had all the aces in Group A, but missed out in the end to Darrell Pilgrim. I suppose the big question will be from the get-go, how will he respond to that disappointment?
Based on what's happened tonight in sport, you could liken Stephen Johnston to Manchester United. because he was in a very commanding position, and right at the end, it all went wrong. Well done, Chelsea. 4-3 against Man U tonight. Cole Palmer, what a player. He's just gone up by about 25 million in value. But you're right. I'll be really interested to see what Stephen Johnston does tonight. And if he qualifies through this group, he will go up so much in my estimation in the mental stakes, because what happened yesterday, that would have rattled anybody.
80.
Well, yeah, that's the first sporting 4-3 of the night, and I don't think it's going to be the last, because I think we're going to get a couple here. And you ask about the response of Stephen Johnston to the disappointments
68.
yesterday, and his first leg thus far hasn't been too bad, although a little bit of a slip with the previous turn, but he is going to be first to a finish against the
59.
darts, and he's going to have 6 from here to take out the opening leg against Fro. 153 isn't going to be taken, all about trying to leave it handy from here, and handy he'll leave it.
I think to settle himself down, just a nice, clean
91.
take on this leg would be really wonderful, especially in the first leg against the darts.
Game shot on the first
Bravo,
leg.
Stephen.
Johnston.
Bravo. 88.17 is average for the first 3 days. 36% on doubles. He wasn't the kind of player that was putting in massive numbers, but he was playing really consistently. But there is a worrying trend. I wanted to bring this up because on Monday, he averaged 91.55. Tuesday, 88.03. So there was a reduction in output over the day of 3.5 points. From Tuesday to Wednesday, it went down again by over 3 points. If that was to happen again, his daily average will be close to 81. That in this group will get flattened. So what he needs to do is buck the trend and go back in the other direction.
140.
Well, first things first, Stevens left himself on a bogey, 166 on the back of that 1-4. You get the sense that this is a vital game for Stephen. No dramas here, and he may be able
60.
to forget what happened yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. Start on a new footing. Maybe the fact that he's had 3 days of action and feels sharp will be good against
45.
Paul Hogan, who traditionally does play on Thursdays and Friday nights. But look at what Stephen's leaving
50.
when Hogan is still outside of the finishing zone. He's been given time. Oh, okay, so that leaves 19. Was that a little greedy? I'll have to say yes.
105.
Well, nonetheless, he's left himself on 88. No dramas thus far, with Hogan not on a finish. This for a 2-0 lead, and
59.
at least he recovers to the last start, Hoagie, to leave himself 148. But 88 for Johnston and a 2-0 lead. Shuffles across. And that's awkward. Very awkward. And there wasn't a way through.
148.
Access denied. Access just about denied.
100.
He knocked on the door, but he didn't have the key.
16.
But Paul Hogan has breathed down his neck, but when he needed to pin the double, Johnston duly delivers. He leads 2-0. This feels like it's just following the same pattern of the first game a tad bit, where Johnston's got off to the quick start, but we just want to be erring on the side of caution against a possible Hogan counter-attack, which showed signs of rearing its head at the back end of the previous leg.
Well, let me ask you a question, Henry, because you saw the first couple of days what Stephen was doing.
100.
Regardless of what happens come Saturday, if he makes it, will he feel stronger as a player
95.
if he makes it through Group B after what happened in Group A, rather than winning Group A?
I honestly think that's a
45.
question that only the individual can answer. I think it depends on his state of mind and the way he looks at things. But I think Stephen's a very strong-minded character, some of the things he does away from the hockey kind of lends its way to that. Following the session on Tuesday, he went swimming in the cold water on the beach in Southsea. That's the kind of character that he is.
140.
He went swimming in the water at Southsea. Well, he is from Scotland. He probably thought it was warm. It isn't.
55.
He's like one of those crazy Australian rules footballers when they go in the St Kilda water after a game on a Sunday.
Well, all I'm saying is he had a towel in his hand and he said, "Do you fancy coming swimming with me?"
100. We require 77.
Back to the darts. Suppose that's one way to go for 77.
Game
I've
shot
never
on
seen
third.
anything like it in my life.
Hogan.
Who goes 17s first on 77? What if he gets to 51? He's got double 13.
To throw first.
New
Game
school thinking from Crocodile Dundee.
New school from the senior star.
85.
Yeah, flip the script if you want. We can't scoff at it because he hit it and it worked. And when it works, you look like a
100.
savant.
And Hogan's the type of player who has had a bit of a renaissance through that World Seniors circuit. Played
57.
in the World Seniors match play towards the latter end of last year. And then played at the World Seniors Championship. He got through to the quarterfinals, beat Terry
137.
Jenkins in the first round 3-1 before then deposing of the former WDF World Champion. A player who's going to be playing at Champions Week in
27.
Neil Duff 3-0 for them being edged out in the last 8 by Jim Long by 3-2. Real good game that, averaged 86.95 in that particular encounter
100.
against Jim, who we think will do some real damage on that seniors tour this year.
Yeah, he should do. Lovely guy, Jim. Be nice to see him
100.
back here at the Super Series in
164.
due course. That looks like it's in. So 84 left.
100.
Stephen's got to be very wary of Crocodile Dundee here because he's starting to find a bit of a groove.
Well, at the end of 2 legs, Johnston was
60.
averaging
Oh,
around about
64.
95 and change. Hogan was in the mid-70s. In terms of the numerics, they've crossed over the other side.
32.
The scoreline was almost 2-2 if he found the double 16 there, but he's got another handful of darts at it with Johnston back at 172, not leaving a finish after 5 visits on throw.
100. We require 32.
There's decent pressure. But it should be,
Game
and
shot on the
is,
fourth leg.
a
Paul
break
Hogan.
of throw. So we are, as you were at the start, now best of 3 legs. Hogan has got the throw as well. So all of the advantages of winning the first 2 legs have disappeared.
Is it going to be the trend of the evening where players get off to fast starts and then just get reeled in? We saw signs of it in the first game between Sykes and Parry, where Sykes raced into a 3-0 lead. Parry brought it back to 3-2. Asked the question of Tom Sykes,
140.
but Sykes came up with the answer. What can Johnston now do by way of response?
Face facts, you can't go to sleep when you're 2-0 up.
100.
If you do, things can happen very abruptly.
60.
And this is what we were saying about how Johnston doesn't want any drama attached to this first game. Well, drama is riddled all over this first game for him now.
60.
Could even turn into a game of 3 halves. Yes, I know there's only 2 halves. Just a play on words.
57.
I'm a hockey fan after all. There's 3 periods.
Talking about hockey, did you see that fight last night at the MSG?
Oh, yeah. Can't beat a hockey fight. Especially when everybody's involved. Sticks and gloves on the
40.
floor and just let them go for it.
Honestly, there's a camera. They didn't show it on the actual TV feed, which I was very disappointed with the match director there. But there's a video which you can see on social media of a fan
100.
up at the top of the MSG. And basically, all you see on the field is basically 5 separate fights happening at the same time. It's incredible.
Yeah, you get tickets to the UFC, see 1 fight at a
140.
time.
Stephen
Tickets to the
McCormick,
NHL, and you get
144.
5 fights at the same time. Maybe we'll have to promote that one to our social media team.
128.
See how many fights we can have on the hockey at the same
106.
time.
Not sure we're insured against things like that.
I'll tell you what, I'll have Nick Fulwell backing me up.
I had a fight with a razor and even lost that, so I won't get involved. But Johnston here for the break and to put himself 3-2 to the good, pins the double eight, and now has the throw for the match and for that opening victory, which will just put some of the demons of yesterday afternoon to bed.
The only thing that is going to make him forget about what happened yesterday is if he wins.
60.
He does look fairly placid tonight. He's not showing that vigour and that aggressiveness that we've seen over the last few days. But maybe he's learned
41.
from that game with Jimmy Van Ski yesterday. If he has, well done. Because maybe he just went a bit prematurely with the celebrations. But there you go. First 180 of the game. Not a bad time to find it.
Puts himself well on the brink and it puts Paul under the pump.
140.
Fires back for 140, but against the throw, it's insurmountable unless Stephen Johnston could come up dry.
57.
And come up dry he has, and just opens up the door a little bit here for Hoagie.
Another one to be handy.
100.
That throw hasn't changed much over the last 30 years. Almost 30 years since he made his Lakeside debut.
92.
Bet that makes some people feel old watching this.
Quarter-finalist in 1995, 2006. There was almost a symmetry when he was within a dart of making the quarter-finals in 2017. Evening, Glenn. Johnston for the match, 112. Triple 20 would have left double 16. And so
60.
Hogan to take us all the way to 3-3. Can he climb the ladder?
We've already seen ladders today in Dave Ladley. Won his first couple of games in Group C, but
45.
faced
Stevie
defeat
Niver,
3 times
52.
after that. Stevie J is back on the winning horse and starts Group B very, very well. 88 average in that one, and his doubles were the reason why it was at that level. 4 hits from 7 attempts, and he catches Crocodile Dundee just a tiny bit cold. So, a very fair result in our second match of the night. Without further ado, we are going to introduce Kurt Parry back to the stage. But it's 10 o'clock somewhere, or indeed 5 o'clock somewhere, according to the shirt of Martin Adams every now and again. He's next.
This is the penalty shootout. Oh, he's through on goal. This is easy.
Crystal Palace have always been good at penalties. Isn't that right, Owen? This is going to catch on, this one. Oh, look at that. That was relentless. That was Ali McCoy's desk. Come on, Wednesday.
Come on Wednesday, indeed. A penalty shootout available now on the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel and on a tournament summer. That sends shivers down the spine of any Englishman. And plenty other content available on there as well. Interview with Paul Hinks, Ashley Coleman, as well as our famous Bullseye Challenge. Don't forget to subscribe to the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. You can do it down the bottom of your screen of the broadcast that you're watching now. Plenty of bonus content available on there. And don't forget to follow our social media feeds. We are at MSS Darts on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram to see all of the live action and all of the rest of the bonus content. And the action continues now as we see the three-time Lakeside champion Martin Adams on the stage against Kurt Parry. We've already seen this evening lose 4-2 to Tom Sykes in the opener, but it's always a great moment here at the live lounge when we watch the three-time Lakeside champion take to the hockey.
Yeah, great to have Wolfie back. I suppose, I don't want to be morbid or anything like that, but you just never know when it could be the last time we have Wolfie here. So what that teaches us is that we really do value every time someone is here. It doesn't have to be someone who's 67 from Cambridgeshire. It could be just a player maybe who is here once. Every player who walks through the doors, we say welcome, we say all the very best. Let's see what you can do. And the same is the case for Kurt. He's up against a legend on this hockey. And every time you play a legend, you don't forget it.
Adams, who has already played in a couple of big televised tournaments this year on the World Seniors circuit. And looks as if he's learned one or two things. A switch for the first visit. I suppose you can teach an old wolf new tricks.
That's a great first start. Look how central that is. Look how straight it is too. Over the last few years, some of his darts have been leaning a little bit to the right. Well, that was beautifully delivered. But it has to be said
95.
That Martin, Robert Thornton, and Leonard Gates all have something in common. All legendary players in seniors darts and in darts in general. But none of those players have won a weekly title here with a lot of attempts under their belt. And especially Robert Thornton. You've got to think, how has that not happened?
10 times, 10 finals. No wins. Adams has played at a Champions Week. He played as an alternate in Series 2. He finished runner-up in his week to Justin Smith, and his average was that good that he got the spot as a replacement player for him. The tour card that was
47.
Ascertained by the likes of Graham Usher and Adam Warner, shall I say, for that particular Champions Week. And we kind of have a gauge now for the sort of level we can kind of expect from Martin Adams. If you have a look at the type of performances that he's put in over the last 6 months or so, we kind of expect something over a long haul of in and around 80 to 85. That tends to be his range now.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's good enough to beat Phil Taylor recently. That was a very entertaining game. Will that be good enough to beat Kurt Parry here tonight? As Martin takes on another Welshman on this stage. You mentioned Justin Smith beating him in a final. 54 for Bull. Got to find his way around that dart. And he can't do so.
54. Okay, we're going 139.
Couple of routes for this one. A lot of people don't go treble 13 first. That really caught me off guard.
190.
Well done, Kurt.
Martin requires 68.
So Adams 68 to get his campaign off and running. Double 16 for Wolfie, who is on the board. 1-0 to the three-time Lakeside champion. Always a big attention when he takes to this stage. And I think a lot of people watching would love to see him just lift that one more trophy in front of the cameras.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
100.
Well, this is England versus Wales, and very symptomatic of what we've seen at the Premier League tonight. It was England versus Wales in Manchester, as Luke Littler took on Gerwin Price, who had a 9-dart leg tonight at the AO Arena.
60.
So well done to Gezi for that, but he didn't win the final. It's back-to-back weeks for Littler. And he knows a thing or two about going back-to-back.
60.
Because he's done it here. Shaping up to be some season in the Premier League. Hasn't been a bad month for the Lukes. 5 in a row in Premier League nights for someone called Luke.
140.
Luke equals GOAT. They're goat-like darts from Kurt Parry there.
180.
Just look how long those darts are. I swear, when he's got a 180 like that, he will not be able to see tops unless Jimmy Van Schie is hoisting him on his shoulders.
140.
And then he can't see him for completely contrasting reasons. Players leaving 161 after 9. Parry can't take his chance, but squares up nicely enough. But what can Adams do with this particular outshot?
It was checkouts like that that got him his first win in the World Seniors Championship. Remember that? When he was hitting everything above 150?
So he requires 66.
Richie Housen hasn't been allowed to forget. Tops. And that is a right old blocker.
31.
Too much of a blocker, and it shades across to the 5s.
He was worrying so much about the line, he forgot about the weight, and then the line suffered just as much of the weight in the end. This is double 16 for Wolfie.
74.
That close to
So he
2-0,
required
and
35.
things aren't going particularly well for Kurt Parry tonight if he misses this. Double 8.
Game shot on the
Needed
second
that.
leg.
Because if he goes 2-0 down again, he's going to get that sinking feeling.
And there's a real problem for a player like
Martin
Kurt
to
who
go
plays game
first.
1 and game 3,
Game on.
because if you lose both of them fixtures, you can feel like you're out of the group equation before anything's really begun. Well, think about it this way. Martin Adams is playing his first match of the
61.
night in this game. But once Parry's through this particular fixture, he's halfway through his evening's quota.
60.
He's got Stevie Johnston in game 9 and Paul Hogan in game 6. A nice spread, but you're right about playing your first 2 games in the first 3. If you get off to a bad start, you're already on the back foot. However, when the
81.
fixtures are flipped around tomorrow, at least what you can do is have those games in hand on everybody. And if you can finish
55.
well, the likelihood is you can have a great chance of getting through to Saturday again.
Everything eventually marries up here at the Super Series.
97.
This already has
59.
the feeling of a game as to who will miss the less opportunities, as to who's going to grasp it by the scruff of the neck. Just get the sense someone's just got to put the hammer down.
92.
Well, he's left himself on the fish as Wolfie.
Some people might think that's a silly thing to do, but 170 is easier than a lot of the checkouts in that range.
59.
And traditionally, that's not something Martin would have done. He would have probably gone for a 20. Imagine being world class at something
60.
for over 30 years. Just think about that. I want to compare
60.
Martin to somebody in the next leg.
Martin, you require 110.
And I don't want people to accuse me of blowing smoke somewhere. But I think it's warranted. Anyway. He will come back because Kurt Parry is not scoring particularly well in this game.
50.
Averaging in the mid-70s, showing a bit of ring rust maybe. He did say in his interview with you earlier that he hadn't played a great deal.
140. Martin, you require 60.
20 in tops for 2-1. This game is being played in this range. 7 visit legs. There we go, a 2-0 lead for Wolfie.
Martin Adams.
Think about great sports people and how long they play. Yeah, darts maybe isn't as physically demanding as some others. So why don't we go down the golf angle?
100.
When Jack Nicklaus came around in the early 60s, when did he get his last major title? 1986. So we're talking about Jack, realistically, 25, maybe 30 years. And you know how great Jack is. 18 major championships, still a record. Martin Adams has been around in darts for well over 30 years and is still playing against the young bucks. Don't accuse Wolfie of not being a great dart player and an all-time great. Doesn't matter where he's played. He's proven himself. He's won a PDC title back in 1999, 60. Beating Phil Taylor in the final. Largely forgotten. And if you want me to wrap off everything else he's won,
40.
Clear your schedule.
Well, I'm going to go and have a quick lunch break. You reel off the titles he's won.
What time do you have lunch? It's 10 to 11 at night.
Okay, midnight snack.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I could tell you exactly where it's 5 o'clock somewhere, because if you're tuning in from Havana in Cuba, the port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana,
56.
Martinique, Aruba, New York in the United States, Marigot in St. Martin, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, St. Vincent, Anguilla, Puerto Rico, St. Thomas on the US Virgin Islands, Nipigon in Canada. Happy 5 o'clock.
Worst weather report ever. You just read every single place down the same timeline. And they've all got something in common. The weather's better there than it is in Portsmouth, which is why we're playing indoors.
Well, Parry's left himself on 136 to square this game up at 2-2, and that's laid lovely for another double 8. Superb for Parry. 2 games played, 2 tongue toppers, and he has squared this game up at 2 apiece.
That checkout has got something in common with walking into one of those scary houses at a theme park. Because when you look behind you, you think, well, where did that come from? That has come from nowhere. He has not played his best at all in this game, but his doubles, with all due respect to him, are very, very good. 2 out of 4.
Well, it's almost like a complete and utter opposite in the first game, where his scoring was perfectly on point, but it was the finishing that let him down, whereas in this game, the finishing's been good, but the scoring's been a little bit off.
140.
I wonder how Daryl Pilgrim's feeling this evening. I wonder if he's tuning in. If you are, Daryl, let us know in the YouTube chat window.
100.
I wonder if he's still smiling from ear to ear and feeling a little bit relieved that he's not having to go through this Group B melee.
Well, I think Daryl had that motivation. I spoke to him on Tuesday about if he wins the group, he can go home for a couple of days and rest and recuperate. And I think that little bit of inspiration really helped him just when Stephen Johnston was beginning to make mistakes as the line approached.
135.
But Adams here with a quintessentially Martin Adams leg, leaving 201 after 9.
What's he going to leave after 12? 101? Nope.
85.
116 will do. It's not that dissimilar, really, to 101. It's still treble 20, single and tops.
You know what I make of legs where players leave 116 after 12. It's been good, but there's been a slip somewhere. And it's another slip for Adams. And Parry's now back for the break chance.
42. You require 66.
That analogy for a 116 sounds a bit like Tonya Harding's ice skating career.
Game
Oh,
shot on the
my
fifth leg.
words.
Kurt Parry.
Kurt Parry, from behind, is now in front.
Sixth leg, it's Kurt to throw first.
It's got a sting if you're Wolfie. This has got to feel really good for Kurt.
134.
Don't count Martin out yet. He's still made of very stern stuff.
Well, we saw it in that game against Phil Taylor where he found himself 9-6 down and he evaded match darts in every single leg since to then claw his way over the line 10-9 in a deciding leg. And
55.
in that game against Richie Housen in the semi-finals, who eventually went on to claim his first seniors TV title, it was only 13-11, the scoreline in that particular fixture.
I just want to go back in the history books again and
81.
remind everybody of what happened on the 7th of August 1999, because every time I mention it, people
60.
think it's a fib. Martin won the Scania Open in Malmö, Sweden, which was a PDC-ranked event. In the last 16, he beat Jamie Harvey. In the last 8, he beat Alex Roy. Then he beat Roland Shelton in the semi-finals. And Philip Douglas Taylor in the final by 6-4. He may have been on one side of the Darton divide in the 90s, but he still picked up PDC ranking points plenty of times. Things like the World Match Play, the World Grand Prix, and by winning a title.
Back in the days of the Tomlin order, Parry looking to restore order and get his first win of the group. 72 to get the job done. Double 11.
50.
Doesn't go, and Adams to save the match. 154.
Big ask. One of the biggest asks. And treble 5 doesn't do him any favours here. Kurt Parry was once compared to a young Adrian Lewis. And when Adrian won his first world title, he won it on double 11.
His 11's heavens for Parry. For parity as far as his night is concerned. He gets his first win 4-2 after losing his first game by that same scoreline. As for Martin Adams, well, he had his moments at the beginning of the game, but Parry surged forward as the line approached. It's a 4-2 win for the Welshman. This the tail of the tape from the encounter. 85-82 the average, 4 for 9 when it came to the finishing. A 136 a high checkout. Adams with work to do as the night goes on. Tom Sykes, the winner of his first game of the evening, takes on Paul Hogan, who's looking to get off the mark. And if he does so, we could have a particular scenario where all 4 games so far at the beginning of the night have gone against Fro. Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where the theme for tonight has been 4-2 victories for the players throwing second. And before the break, Kurt Parry continued that trend by getting the better of Martin Wolfie Adams by that particular scoreline. Well, Tom Sykes will be hoping that is a trend that comes to an end right here. He takes on Paul Hogan in our fourth game of the evening session. Sykes, who went off as the odds compiler's favourite to go on and win Group B over the course of the next couple of nights. And he put in a performance in the type of vein of a player that could go on and do exactly that. 90.41 was his average in a 4-2 success against Kurt Parry. As for Paul Hogan, he had a bit of a mid-game surge against Stephen Johnston. Lost out 4-2, averaging 84.89. His finishing was his strong point, 50%.
Two players in this match who are
57.
at different ends of the spectrum in their career. Tom pretty much at the start, whereas Paul Hogan may be in the twilight of his career. But I would not be surprised to see him playing MODUS Super Series and seniors darts in 10 years. In fact, wasn't it lovely in Belfast at the Premier League darts recently to see a picture of John McGowan sitting next to Mickey Mansell? Great to see Mr. Magoo still hanging around the game. What a lovely man. I wonder where Tom Sykes is going to be in 29 years' time. I wonder if his beard's going to be grey. If his hair's going to be grey, and we'll be saying, do you know what? He's been here for the last 30 years. He's hoping not, because he's got very high aspirations of hitting double eight.
Game shot in the first leg.
Doesn't look too unhappy about being in Group B to me. He looks ready to get it done, to say hello to another Saturday, a third consecutive Saturday.
Well, if Tom Sykes is going to be here for the next 30 years, we may try and look at investing in a pension scheme around this place.
It's not a bad idea.
140.
You never know. If in 29 years' time, Tom Sykes is still playing here, that would make Paul Hogan
57.
89. He might still be playing at 89. Let me tell you a little tale of someone that I used to play Super League with
15.
25 years ago. A fella in Blythe in Northumberland called Alan High. He was old back then, and he was awesome. Really good player. My sources told me a few years ago he was still playing Super League, and he was still brilliant. Age is but a number. Darts is for everyone.
100.
Well, the preeminent example in terms of that is the oldest and youngest ever winner of this competition in terms of a week. The oldest player to win a week, Johnny Haynes, age 59, back in January last year. The youngest player to do so, a 16-year-old called Luke Littler.
100.
Yeah, he hasn't had a bad night. Or indeed, a bad 8 days. I think not being in Munich, because he didn't qualify for it, did him the world of good. And now he has to go on to his next challenge, which could well be trying to make the playoffs of the Premier League. Could be Bull.
84.
That's worked out pretty well. Hogan's got to get a hold of something here, otherwise he could be rolled. A purveyor of double 18, a lot.
Game shot in the
And
second.
that's why
Paul Hogan.
Crocodile Dundee not just looking very pleased on the back of his shirt, but pleased at the front.
The leg, it's Tom to throw first.
Paul Hogan hits a double 18 to finish off his one and only 9 darter in front of the cameras. The first 9 darter in the history of the British Internationals. That was hit back in 2017 at the Leeds venue for that particular competition, I believe.
95.
Played for his country so many times. 10 occasions in British internationals.
57.
2001 all the way through to 2019. Imagine playing for your country. 18 years apart. That's amazing.
95.
Well, Paul Hogan is so good at doing things with time apart. We mentioned the Lakeside. We can also mention UK Open appearances in that particular bracket and that particular category.
Yeah, tell me about it. Last time I was in the UK Open, he beat me. In the freezer. In that famous room that was almost -1 on that Friday.
170.
He was a much better player than me on that night. I just couldn't hang on to him. He was brilliant.
64.
Luckily for you, nobody saw it.
Yeah, people were too busy freezing.
99. Tommy Breakaway 106.
106 for Sykes for 2-1. And he's going to have a dart at tops for it.
86.
Drags just below. He's had one or two concerns on the doubles tonight. He's 4 from 14 in his first game.
His concern now. Ooh, that was close.
Game shot in the third leg. Paul Hogan.
Sometimes a commentator would really like to show how they feel with a look, because at the minute, Paul Hogan, his abdominal muscles will have tightened on that single 20. When he threw that dart, he thought, oh no, that's going to hit the 60, isn't it?
100.
I'm going to join the bust club. However, it just hit the single, and he puts the sword in the ribs of Tom Sykes, who has missed a few doubles tonight and maybe hasn't been as effective on his combination finishing this week than in previous times.
Don't forget, you can get in touch with us via the YouTube chat room and join the chat room fam here at the MODUS Super Series.
100.
Is that what they're called? The chat room fam?
Hi, chat room fam. Over just under 1,300 of you tuning in now. Thank you so much for your company. We'll answer some of your questions. Someone actually asked, what would Tom Sykes be doing in 30 years' time? He said he'll probably be a commentator.
60.
You never know.
$92.
Nobody knows what they're going to be doing in 30 years. You can say what you'd like to be doing in 30 years.
45.
I'd really like this project to still be going strong, because it has become very important. Don't go for the bull.
99.
No, I don't agree with that shot. Look where Tom is. He's on 239. Should have gone for 14 to leave double 18.
44.
However, he's going to get away with it because he's going to get another 6 from here to open up a 3-1 lead. Double 8. And then we'll continue that trend
Game shot on the
of
fourth leg.
every single
Hogan.
game tonight going against the darts. Hogan 3-1 to the good.
Tom to throw first. Game
Sykes
on.
have work to do.
When you look at the fixtures so far, 4-2 Sykes against Parry.
140.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense on form. 4-2 Johnston against Hogan. Yeah, you can kind of go behind that as well. And you can go for Parry against
100.
Adams. Whereas here, would you have realistically gone for Hogan against Sykes? I don't think so.
58.
This is a bit of an upset in my book. Or is Paul Hogan starting to warm up? The somewhat amphibious dart player
139.
is starting to feel the heat and like it.
Just to go back to some of your questions in the chat room, Kaz is really enjoying my
85.
company this evening because the question is this. Evening, Henry. When is Chris Murphy commentating again?
That'll be tomorrow afternoon from 1 o'clock.
95.
And then you're coming back for 10 o'clock tomorrow night, aren't you?
Indeed I am. On the night shift this week.
I'm not going to sing it.
100.
I think it's by
for
the
record,
Commodores.
167.
For the match. Well, it was for the match. Now, Tom Sykes should go for treble 2018 tops here, but someone who was feeling a bit frisky might even go 17s on this shot.
Tommy Breakaway,
Yes, I'm
180.
speaking to you, Keegan Brown. Now, he couldn't find the 60 there, but he did have the
58.
luxury
We
of
record
going
28.
48 bull. This is for the match. Is that streak of 4-2 victories against the darts over?
Game,
It is.
on the man.
It's 4 legs to 1
Hogan.
for Hoagie, who gets himself onto 2 points. And now it's only Wolfie that doesn't have any points at all. A first defeat in Group B for Tom Sykes. And everybody is winning tonight against the darts. But bravo, Paul Hogan. You started with an 84 average in a first game defeat. But with 50% on the doubles for his second consecutive match for Crocodile Dundee, lifting his average by about 8 points, did the trick. Speaking of Wolfie, he's going to be up against Johnston of Scotland at our halfway point.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where so far this season we've seen more breaks than a skateboarder's wrist so far. 4 games, all going against the darts, the latest of which Paul Hogan getting the better of Tom Sykes by 4 legs to 1. And Martin Adams can keep that trend going if he gets the better of Stephen Johnston. And if that happens, well, we've got that scenario where every player will be level on points. And I'm going to go early. I'm going to go early on this. Never before have we had a Group B where every single player has been tied on 8 points.
Do you think it's going to happen, do you?
First leg, it's
I don't think so, but let a
Stevens
man
first.
dream.
Game on.
Okay, off you go. You can dream all you want. I don't think it's going to happen. It's very, very rare that you see 2 players adorned in white. Somewhat
60.
heavily here up on the MODUS Super Series stage in Portsmouth. As far as Martin's first game is concerned, average of 82.97.
95.
Very much painting the picture, Henry, of what you were talking about earlier. What can we expect from Martin at this stage of his career? Probably somewhere around
60.
about 80 to 85. That's almost in the middle of that. Only got 4 shots at a double. Hit 2 of them. Nothing wrong with 50%. As long as you get enough opportunities. But for Martin, unfortunately, he didn't against Kurt Parry, who was just a little bit better than him.
96.
What did you make of Stevie Johnston, though? in his first match. 'Cause for me, that was really important to get back on the horse.
I think winning it was important. He could have made it a little bit more comfortable for himself than when he did make it in the end. He had a little bit of a mid-match wobble, but then recovered well towards the finishing line in that particular encounter. But fair to say, a sluggish start up to press so far in this game. But that's up to press, and that is so far. And the Stephen Johnston scoring train has begun to put its wheels into motion.
I've been trying to dig and dig and dig for some Martin Adams information. I feel like everything that he's done in his career has been talked about. I might have something for you in the next leg, as Stephen leaves himself in flake territory. And I mean that in a good way. It's a bad visit from Wolfie.
Stephen, you require 99.
Leaves himself in a really bad spot. Pick your single, pick your double, and put a flake in it. 1-0 Stephen Johnston. Very, very nice. So, we were talking about Stevie Johnston being the son of Peter Johnston, someone that Martin knew very well. In the international scene in the 90s, they will have been in the same halls, the same tournaments. And I'm sure that Martin's probably seen Stevie hovering around tournaments as a youngster.
55.
But if you think that passing the torch in darts is localised to Stephen's case, think again. We talked earlier in the week about Colin and Aaron Monk, Gordon and Chris Dolby, James and Vic Hubbard. What about Martin and Warren Adams?
140.
Largely forgotten that in 2002, Martin played with Warren and they won the pairs, the first ever father-son combination to do that.
130.
Outstat that if you can.
Great work, Nico. I'll give you a gold star for
49.
that.
Stick it on me head. And I'll walk home with pride.
I don't know. I wouldn't walk around with a load of stickers on your head in Portsmouth at 1:30 in the morning.
Why is that? There's sticker thieves around. That's a good leg from Martin. He's finding himself on these finishes after 12 instead of 9. That could be the separator between getting chances to win legs and not. However, this is a chance at the bull.
80. Stephen, you require
just at times on particular targets, the line just goes a begging for Martin. Johnston's going to take out the 157, so Adams to level up
require 48.
at 1 apiece. Going to have 2 in hand at double 16. But that was precariously close to 0. How many times tonight have we seen a first dart in a combination or a second dart in a combination become perilously close to a bust?
So look at
Well,
to throw first.
clinical in terms of the outer ring. Adams levels up at 1-1. And actually, that's been his strong suit tonight. 2 out of 4 on the doubles in a defeat to Kurt Parry. Pins a double 16, first time of asking
80.
in this particular encounter.
Even Stevie J's getting involved in those fancy shoes. He's got a pair of those mallets on as well, by the looks of it. You had those on your feet yet? H?
59.
No, I haven't. I'm a bit against the times. Got me my fade sorted in terms of the haircut. I got that all perfected, but
60.
You just created a new word there, perfected. It's very cat-like. That was a mighty aggressive cat. Oh, that's a very aggressive wolf.
180.
You won't see him in a pair of mallets. Or will you?
Well, that is Martin Adams'
100.
180th 180 at the Super Series.
That's got a nice ring to it. And a pair of mallets apparently cost 180 quid.
Couldn't follow it with 181, could he? They're like London buses.
180.
Just like shoes, they come in pairs.
And this trend of games going against the throw could well continue here because Adams is threatening the break, leaving 82 after 9. And what was it we were saying in the last week about leaving these types of shots after 9 as opposed to 12?
Somebody's starting to warm up. Double top for a 12 darter.
42.
Very well thrown.
Require
Just didn't
121.
land. We saw a couple of these this afternoon from Reece Colley in the same game.
97.
So Adams leaving tops after 12 for the break in the third.
Bit of a rangefinder.
Game shot in the third.
Something better than a rangefinder. Gets a 14 darter to take the lead. Break of throw. Stephen Johnston's got issues with the former England captain.
Game on.
He's one of the most experienced players in this building. Was one of the most experienced players in our previous studio. And was the most experienced player when we played from home at the start of 2020.
85.
To be honest, you could probably set Martin Adam afoot in any venue in World Darts, and he probably is the most experienced player in there.
60.
Yes, because he's still playing. Whereas a lot of the players he's played over the last 20 years have decided to stop.
Remember, he threw the first dart in this building against Diogo Portela back in September
43.
of 2022.
$99.
You were here that night, weren't you?
Yeah, I was backstage being pretty much trialed that night.
You were being... What was Judge Judy here?
I don't know, I felt like I was Judge, jury and
140.
executioner.
I was in Budapest. We just finished doing the second running... Oh, it might have been the night
59.
before. The finals of the Hungarian Darts Trophy, which was won by Joe Cullen, I believe. And we all tuned in from Hungary to see the first night here, and we loved it.
100.
I like 19s on 283, because if you get 7 of them, it leaves a shot which is 6 19s for double 18.
55.
You can localise the target.
Martin, you require 133.
But Stephen Johnston this week has not been showing that kind of tactical prowess. Treble 19. Not found. But this is becoming
93.
a bit of a canter for Martin Adams. Now he's starting to find a bit of range in the scoring department. And we may just have 5 players on 2 points at the halfway point of Thursday night.
Well, it's not quite the midnight hour yet. But the Wolf
30.
was looking as if he was beginning to howl and prowl, but he may well be put back in his cage if Johnston can take out the 88.
2 little snowmen. Not to be.
25.
They're the kind of mistakes you can't make.
10.
That's not the first time Stephen's done that tonight either, and it gives Adams the opportunity to pounce on the double 5. 1 for double 2. It's beginning to get a little bit scrappy. And that was just about in the single 1.
8.
And a leg that was in the leisure of Martin Adams may now bear the name of Stephen Johnston.
He's wondering which way to go for this, you know. He's not set on treble 17 or treble 13. Got to make your mind up. I'm going to have to rush you. He's gone for 17s. So now he's got an option on his singles. Double 18.
45.
Just didn't work out. I think he was just caught in two minds as to what to do.
Well, there's only one thing to do here.
No score.
One up, one in is the usual cry on the double one, but the first one below opens up the door for Johnston to square up at 2-2. And it would also return the gain to throw, a shrug of the shoulders from Wolfie in the background. And shrugged, they'll stay. Johnston squares up, 2-2.
Well, that leg was a bit like the front line of Inter Miami. It was very messy.
Stephen to throw first. Game on.
This game could change now.
100.
And predominantly, when a game does change in best of 7, it's usually in leg 4. Because if somebody has the chance to go 3-1 up, you'll fancy them to win from that position. But now, we go back to a 50-50 split because it's all tied at 2-all.
Take your pick.
That was a good game show, wasn't it? With Des O'Connor.
Yes. No. Hit the gong.
Yeah, you weren't able to say, is it yes or no in the questions?
And you couldn't shake your head or nod your head either. And if you took too long, you got gonged out.
He was terrific at that, was Des O'Connor.
Although I'll tell you one other one which was great as a kid. Takeshi's Castle.
60.
No, that was more of a going for gold, man.
Going
With
for...
Henry Kelly.
They revived that for a little while, didn't they, on Channel 5?
Yeah, they tried. It was awful. Yeah, Henry Kelly was a legend. Great game show host. I wonder what he'd make of modern day darts. Back in the era of Jim Bowen doing bullseye.
Crystal Maze was another good one back in the day.
Well, wasn't it just? Don't you dare tell me that Richard Ayoade was better than the original host.
Richard O'Brien.
Yeah.
That was a little bit... I remember watching that on Challenge TV as a child, or the reruns of that. That was actually part of the reason why I wanted to get into TV presenting.
I always wanted to have a crack at trying to catch the tickets. I would have taken my Dyson Hoover in there.
Require 89.
Other Hoovers or indeed vacuum cleaners are available. 20 for ball for Martin. To Hoover up this leg. It's double 5. He's splitting again.
Stephen, you require 124.
Well, this could be a haymaker if Johnston can land the 1-2-4. It's a save throw. Not going to do so. And so Adam's going to get another
58.
break opportunity. This game, slowly but surely, is becoming a bit of a breakathlon.
No
oh,
score.
my. That was a big 20 as well.
66.
That really was a big pull to the left. Stevie Johnston is getting very fortunate with these chances. He's taken full advantage of it as well.
Stephen Johnston.
Wow.
Sinclair gets Martin to throw first. Game on.
Johnston leads 3-2, but he's got a lot to thank Martin Adams for in terms of missed doubles and missed opportunities in this game. Adams 2 from 14 when it comes to the
86.
outer ring. He's passed up a huge number of opportunities.
60.
Johnston, who in terms of scoring power has just been a little bit below that of the 3-time Lakeside champ, but when it has come to leg-winning opportunities, has taken 3 from 4 attempts.
100.
You know, at the halfway point of the evening's action, and a win here for Johnston would assert his authority as the table topper. He'd be 2 points clear of the rest of the pack. Martin Adams would be the only player who've had a victory thus far.
I'm not entirely sure that Stephen Johnston being the leader of the pack is a good thing.
137.
Because it will dredge up some memories of the previous campaign he's been in. He might benefit from being the chaser.
100.
However, if he wins this game, he can watch Parry and Hogan battle it out to see who joins the 4-point group. And then he'd be up against Tom Sykes in Game 7.
140.
A person he has not lost to this week. So that's the glass is half full kind of statement after what could be the glass is half empty.
38.
So what you're saying is, hello darkness, my old friend.
Hello, double
Danger on the
19,
sixth
his
leg,
old friend.
Martin Adams.
And it's 3-3. And that trend of people winning against the darts here tonight
Seventh and final leg,
is
it's
now at
Stevens
risk.
to throw first. Game
Because
on.
if Adams does not win this leg, the trend is gone. Interesting that most of the week when we've had a last leg
97.
decider, Henry, we usually have a fist pump between the players, but there wasn't there, was there? Maybe just in his own little focused bubble.
Sometimes it just happens where you're completely in amongst the heat of battle that anything around you
85.
can just be ignored. Sometimes it could be perceived the one way where actually the intentions are more genuine than what the actual
59.
what we see in front of our eyes is perceived.
Oh, if you go back 30 years, they didn't used to do it. And James Wade still doesn't do it. Because in a last leg decider, if he's got the darts, he's already away with it. And it's an unspoken rule
140.
that you somewhat say all the very best with the last leg, but you don't have to do it.
100.
Well, that 140 has put Adams in a real good suit in this leg. He's taken the darts off of Johnston here, but he needs to find something makeable to keep a hold of that ascendancy.
It's a great adjustment.
85.
Have you noticed as well, the older Martin gets, the more he looks like Teen Wolf's dad in the movie.
60.
Really does look like him. Michael J. Fox's dad in Teen Wolf.
Now, our director tonight is a massive film buff, and I've just heard a massive laughter of agreement in my ear.
It's a compliment. Yeah, Michael J. Fox's
60.
dad in Teen Wolf is so scary that he makes Michael J. Fox's character, his head teacher, urinate down his trouser leg
83.
towards the end of the movie. If you've
Martin
never seen it.
131.
Spoiler alert. 1-3-1. One of those shots that has won a PDC World Championship in the shape of Philip Taylor against a certain Simon Whitlock back in 2010.
91. Stephen, you require 100.
Tops will win Martin the game if he's given the chance. And going bull there for me
62.
was the
Martin
wrong
require
option.
40.
But this, to ensure that everybody has got a chalk on the board with the halfway stage. Well, we're on the riser.
Game show
After
and
5
match.
games of the evening session,
Martin
everybody has
Adams.
picked up a win. And all 5 games, incredibly, have gone against the throw. Adams the latest to do so, beating Stephen Johnston by 4 legs to 3, and he has a little chat with the referee, Owen Binks, about it. I think he's the only person in the history who's actually laughed at something Owen Binks has said. That's the tail of the tape from a 4-3 success, 85.35 the average, 2 maximums in there, and that was despite missing 13 darts at a double. Martin Adams beating Stephen Johnston by 4 legs to 3. Myself and Paul Nicholson are going to head over to the studio and tell you everything that has happened so far this evening, get our half-time reflections. Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where it is time for the half-time oranges and a chat with the asset Paul Nicholson about everything that we have seen so far this evening. These are the results then from our 5 matches up to press. And, well, when we assess it, it's quite simple. Everything's gone against the darts.
Who said having the darts was an advantage? Let's face it, 4-2 3 times at the start, and we thought, well, surely this streak has got to end at some time, but it hasn't. And full credit to Martin Adams for taking us to the halfway point by winning 4-3 against Stephen Johnston there. So after he's won his first game and we start talking positively about him, just a little bit of doubt is planted by the legendary England captain.
Well, we were hoping that the night was going to start as we meant to go on, because Tom Sykes threatened us to the 9-darter in leg 1 of the evening.
Not surprised to see Tom starting hot. It's just what he does. And the amount of prep that he does leading into a night, he never comes in cold, apart from the start of Monday where he averaged, was it 79 in his first game? That was a surprise. But to see him do this at the start of the evening, nope, I wasn't surprised at all. The thing that surprised me was that he missed the 8th dart. This was dart 7, looked good. He looked in rhythm, but for the second time today, somebody fails to take us to the 9th.
Well, we came oh so close to the crowning glory. An intriguing evening overall. Who do you think will be the most pleased with their night's work?
It's really hard to say. I think Paul Hogan will be very pleased to get 2 points on the board. His first game, he looked like he was caught in the headlights a bit. He just didn't look ready. But by the time we got to the halfway point of the night, he looked a lot sharper in game 2. So I'd probably have to say Paul.
Well, let's have a look at the table at the halfway point of the evening. Well, I don't know why we're having a look at the table, because it's quite academic, really, isn't it? Everybody on 2.
Yeah, everybody's played 2 games. Everybody's got 2 points. And there's 2 legs between top and bottom. So, as you were, everybody, and I suppose Kurt Parry's the man who's separating everybody else. So, yeah, he's all square, but a really interesting night so far. So, with 25% of the games gone, we have very little to go on, but it's very similar to what we've seen on Thursday with a very tight Group C. It looks like we're going to get the same in Group B.
Well, it looks like there's going to be plenty of drama to come this evening, and there's going to be plenty of drama to come next week here at the Super Series, where a son of a legend is going to take to the hockey.
Keep it quiet, I'm trying to play.
I'm just practicing.
So Mason Whitlock is going to make his debut next week at the MODUS Super Series. He's going to be in Group C. Group A, which is going to be headlined by the former champion Conan Whitehead, Robert Thornton, hoping to get his first crown here at the Super Series. And Bradley Brooks, on the back of a victory of the ADC Tour of the weekend, is going to be in Group B. I just want to talk about the pressure about going into a competition like that, when you've got the pressure of being the son of somebody like Simon, because I'd imagine you got that pressure of not just wanting to do it for yourself, but you also feel almost like a burden because of what other people have done in their career, that you know that you don't want it to be a case of, well, I don't want to be the son of a legend. I want to do it on my own terms, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot to speak about when it comes to this situation, but after speaking with Mason this week and speaking with Simon as well, he's very ready for this. He's been playing in this local area for a good period of time. We're talking about a very good young player. He's not here based on name. He's based on ability. If you look at the local scene in Portsmouth, Southampton, and overall in Hampshire, he's been bashing people up. He's here on merit. And if you're going to give spots to players like Ashley Coleman and to other people as well, then I'm afraid Mason Whitlock deserves his go. And I cannot wait to see him play. I've seen this kid since he was that tall. Now he's about twice as tall. He's almost getting into Jimmy Van Ski territory, so we're going to have to look at the camera angles for that. But I am so excited for next week. So many stories, new names, established names, legendary people who have gone before, and maybe the next generation as well. Brilliant.
I just want to get your take on players like Mason, players like Ashley, who coming to this on debut, first time in front of the cameras, but they're coming with big reputations. They're coming in with maybe big expectations, maybe from other people, whereas we see from other players that come in first time of asking, they can quietly go about their business. What is that going to feel like? Because you're completely new, completely alien to those conditions, but everybody's got that predetermined expectation of you.
I think if you come in with some form of reputation, there's a little bit of pressure, but you just got to go up there and find out what you're all about. And this is what the MODUS Super Series is all about, giving people opportunities to thrive. If things don't go your way, like they didn't with Ashley Coleman last week, I'm sure he will grasp another opportunity and learn from not doing it 100% correctly. So if Mason goes through the same thing next week, you tend to learn more from failure than you do from success. So whatever happens, it will be valuable for the experience of Mason.
Action gets underway 9:30 a.m. Monday morning here on the YouTube channel. But we enter the second half of proceedings now here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth, where 3 more spots in this group will be settled towards Saturday evening's finale, a finale which you could be a part of. If you want to join us, well, take a look at this.
Every Saturday, we open our doors for our weekly finals night.
For a unique and intimate darts experience.
Meet the Dart Stars and even the team off the telly.
Here at our purpose-built venue in Portsmouth.
Every single Saturday evening.
Tickets can be booked via this QR code.
Or at www.dartshop.tv for a very small booking fee.
Follow us at MSS Darts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok.
For all the latest ticketing news.
All you need to do, log on, book, turn up, and the action gets underway from 7:30 p.m.
So what are you waiting for?
Get your tickets to the darts.
We look forward to welcoming you to the MODUS Super Series very soon.
Your late night ticketing news here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. But now it's all about the tungsten tickling here here in the South Coast. Game 6 of our evening session sees Parry and Paul Hogan go toe to toe. What do we think about this one?
Someone's going to get 2 points and someone's going to go top of the table. Not that I'm oversimplifying things, but that is what these guys want. I've spoken with Kurt Parry many, many times over the last few months, and he's still adamant that he's not going to let us know where he gets his shoes. Make no mistake, he's so proud of these shoes that he's got 2 different colours. He'll wear the black ones on a Friday night. Don't you worry about that.
32.
You better be careful, because I know a few friends of
60.
his who may well divulge that information at the right price.
I think Kurt will sort them out. He's rather good at throwing things from a distance.
140.
Yeah, they are. Aren't they fabulous? They remind me of a pair of shoes I had in the 1990s by a company called
60.
Red or Dead. Before you were born, Henry. Really weird that those kinds of shoes are coming back into fashion.
59.
It's very unsettling. Aren't they beautiful?
Just like curtains are now.
100. Paul, you require
I don't know what kind of drapes you've got. But look at that beard from Kurt Parry as well. Look at the bullseye.
145.
Would have been for the fish for Crocodile Dundee.
Chomp.
60. Paul, you
Oh,
require
that is the
25.
gift of Kurt Parry right there, being able to get the points that close together. A double 8 for Hoagie. And that is an opening break of throw.
Paul Hogan.
Somebody's warming up now.
Crocodile is cooking.
Paul to throw first.
Have you seen the back of his shirt, by the way? Let's marvel in the fact that he hasn't got a shirt that is anything to do with West Bromwich Albion. That's the first thing. Secondly,
100.
back of Hoagie's shirt, apparently, the crocodile on it is protesting about 180s.
60.
More 180s. We want more 180s.
Well, those protestations didn't work there. I mean, to be fair, if you look at the back of Hogan's shirt, the crocodile's basically saying, paint me like one of your French crocodiles.
140.
I think that crocodile's been on those crazy plants. It's got some white eyes right there.
100.
I just love the inventive sides of the dart shirts. Some of them have got to be funny.
140.
Some of them have got to be in your face. Bit like Kurt Parry's.
Question is, do you know how to survive a crocodile attack, Nico?
Yeah, don't get involved in one in the first place. And if you do, run
161.
quickly.
In case you wanted to know the answer, you run around in zigzag lines.
90. We require 101.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know how you found that out. I don't know where you go travelling on your holidays. Double 18.
Game shot.
Very, very Paul Hogan, that.
Hogan.
Finding his way through to a 2-0 lead.
Third against Kurt to throw first. Game on.
Now, if you didn't know, and if you put your hand over the score screen at the minute. All right, have a look at the averages first. But who's got the darts in this game based on what we've seen tonight? Yeah, that's right. It's Kurt Parry. Again,
41.
It's the person without the darts that is leading.
What
about the possibility that every game could be won against the darts tonight? Has that ever happened? I don't think it has.
I can't remember. I can't remember a night like it, no. I mean, we have had nights.
100.
And I mean, it's very seldom that we've had nights like this, but we have had nights where every player has been priced apart on 4 points. I remember there being a week at the beginning of December in 2022 where all 5 players were on 4 points running the first night's play. Oh, that's a Robin Hood, and that's pierced through the flight.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be able to use that flight again. He uses a very, very thin
45.
micron flight. I think they're only 50 microns, which is one of the thinnest you can get. And I think it has been replaced.
140.
I'll tell you one thing, if he has replaced it, he's changed it quicker than Lightning McQueen's mechanic has done his tyres, which is quick.
Who, Guido?
Yeah, that's the fella.
Pit stop.
100. Go required 36.
Double 18. Oh, what a marker that is. What a marker they are. Wow.
No
wow.
score.
How has he done that?
40.
Over to Fred Dinage for Howe 3.
Howe for now, and Hogan moves 3 up. The double breaker thrower Crudy now throws for the match.
Yes, Kurt, I'm with you, pal. How on earth did that miss?
Gets Paul to throw first. Game on.
He's still thinking about it.
Do you want a useless stat about Fred Dinage?
60.
Is this one of these urban myths, a bit like Bob Holness was the saxophonist on Baker Street?
100.
Fred Dinage's daughter is the MP for Gosport.
Here's me expecting something interesting.
15.
Sorry, Henry, that was incredibly dull.
What's on the board of directors for Portsmouth Football Club? Does that help?
Nope.
60.
My word. Do your homework. I've got to make up for lost ground here. That was a terrible stat,
59.
Henry. Come on, you can do better than that. Not many people know where Gosport is. We've got people tuning in on YouTube who are probably from Australia and Japan. I'm only pulling your leg.
100.
If you want to get involved in the chat, does anybody know where Gosport is?
133.
I'm sure the locals will.
Well, in fact, one of our referees, Jack Garwood, has just moved to that area. Unlucky for him.
45.
Anyway, 89 for Parry to get his first leg on the board to bring it back to 3-1.
He needs to do what he did in his first game tonight. He needs to try and erode some of the damage.
43.
At worst. We mentioned at the start of this match that there were only 2 legs between top and bottom
60.
in the leg difference column.
46.
That will change drastically if Hogan wins by a big margin. 88.
Game shot on the 4th leg.
And the first
Kurt
cab
Parry.
off the rank for Kurt Parry. At least it's a break of throw. If he holds here, he's going to do exactly what he did against Tom Sykes in game 1 in picking up legs 4 and 5.
Well, as far as Kurt's concerned as well, it was a fast
60.
free leg. And so it might just draw a bit more confidence, but he's kicked off dry at the beginning of leg 5. Those are double stats. It's kind of been endemic of Kurt Parry's night. 1 from
60.
6 there. It was 4 from 9 in the game against Adams, but against Tom Sykes, he was 2 from 10
47.
when it came to the finishing. And that was despite taking out 1-3. He's actually taken out a ton top in both of the games that he's played this evening.
If you're getting 10 darts at a double in a match,
140.
these players at this level expect to have hit 4. Oh my word.
180.
How good was that 180? Seriously. The talent that Kurt has got in his locker.
99.
That was a polo mint max.
Physicians could study that 180 and take it to Switzerland and put it in the CERN Super Collider and still not get answers.
Well, it may well be
60.
slowly but surely turning this game on its head. 154 for 3-2. It's not going to go, and so Hogan's going to get a match-winning chance here at 142. He didn't even get one in the previous leg.
82.
I've got a theory about the points of Kurt Parry as well, but it's a point I'm going to make only if we've got another leg. Which we might.
90. Correct, you require 72.
To bring it back to 3-2. 2 in hand at double 12. Now double 6.
Game shot
Pinned, had to go last start. Is found last start. And Hogan has another chance to serve it out.
Yet another close game.
Game on.
In fact, it was Hogan's victory in game 4 against Tom Sykes that is the largest margin of victory tonight of 4 legs to 1.
100.
But my theory on the points of Kurt Parry, as we see another brilliant maximum,
180.
is that those points are telling lies. Because they're like Pinocchio's nose. They keep getting longer.
140.
Imagine if that was the case. If you had points that grew.
He was nearly growing in towards the
125.
perfect leg. But he only got 4 in, but has put himself in a great position here. Remember, he was 3-0 down in this contest, and he could bring it back to 3-3. Hogan's left himself first to a finish, but Parry should, and I say should, leave it far more makeable.
22.
There is no should in darts.
161.
The words of John Part. There's only could. And Hogan's got 6 from 161
95.
to put this away.
May well be a case of coulda, shoulda, didn't for Parry.
40.
To continue this incredible trend of games being won against the darts. We're talking about Lightning McQueen. This could be the 66 shot. Double 18 for the match.
48.
And it would have rounded off a 4-2 win.
This would be some save.
$58. We require 18.
Should be the end. And he splits 18. Double 8. And Paul Hogan is top of the table.
Paul Hogan.
First person to win in the second half of Thursday night, going into Friday morning, which is in about 2 or 3 minutes' time. But Paul will be very, very happy with the fact that he has responded brilliantly after losing his first match against Mr. Johnston earlier, and that trend of people winning against the darts continues miraculously. This time, Hogan is 4 out of 7 on the doubles with a very tidy 88 average. We'll see Tom Sykes up against Stevie Johnston next. Is that trend going to continue? You better stay with us to find out.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where 6 games have been played on this Thursday night, and all 6 games have gone against the darts. Paul Hogan, the latest winner before the break, getting the better of Kurt Parry by 4 legs to 2. So that's going to mean that Stephen Johnston's going to beat Tom Sykes, isn't it?
I'm not sure about that, but I see something different. Mr. Johnston is not wearing his glasses. Or maybe he's like a gremlin. He's not allowed to wear them after 12 o'clock.
Game on.
Yeah, happy Friday, folks. Watching the UK, that is.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
We're not going back down that rabbit hole again, are we?
Nope, we're not. Because we're an hour later and you're going to wrap off about another 25 countries. Or islands. Well, what we can say, as we deviate away from what could possibly happen here in this game, Tom Sykes has found his kryptonite this week, and his name is Stephen Johnston. Losses of 4-1, 4-0, and 4-1 have resulted in a man who would be called Jono if he lived in Australia, beating Tom Sykes this week by 12 legs to 2 in the first 3 days. When you put it in those terms,
64.
that's unreal
61.
when you consider the talent levels of Sykes.
Well, Johnston doesn't pin the 161. Sykes comes back for the 97 to take the opening leg on throw. And he's going to get a couple of darts at tops. Only needs the one. 14 dart start. 1-0 Sykes.
He looks like a completely different player to the one that faced the Scotsman in Group A.
Game on.
And if I may, those 3 defeats mean absolutely nothing anymore.
93.
Well, just look at the facials of Tom Sykes. He looks completely pumped up for this particular
60.
match. Bit more energy, bit more passion from him.
$53.
One thing's for sure, they might mean nothing because we're now in a fresh group. But I get a
58.
sneaky suspicion that Mr. Sykes would like to have something that is best served cold.
97.
And I'm not talking about a very nice freshly made gazpacho. I'm talking about revenge.
84.
People have already had their chunk of flesh out of the Scotsman. Likes of Damien Moll in the last game yesterday. Or should I say on Wednesday because it's now Friday.
140.
Well, Tom on 299 should know better. Got to start on 19s.
39. Stephen in record.
Maybe the white flag's been
118.
raised in leg 2 as this game rattles on.
Well, he's not going to take it out on this occasion, but he's going to get a couple of goals to square this game up. 78 left.
94.
Moves across for treble 18 to leave himself on double 12 upon his return. What pressure can Sykes put on? He's had a couple of stray
90.
darts, hasn't he, in this
Stevie
game
number
and
1,
throughout the
24.
course of the night.
2 6s.
Game shot in the second leg.
And at the minute,
Stephen Johnston.
Stephen Johnston looks more comfortable than Tom. Wouldn't have said that at the end of leg 1.
It's Tom to throw first. Game on.
One thing these two people have had to grapple with here tonight is the change in
60.
time zone. No, it's not as if they've gone to Antigua overnight and we're doing this live stream from the Caribbean. We're still on the south coast of England. The proof of that is the rain outside.
140.
But changing your schedule from one day to the next, going from
60.
waking up at maybe 6 a.m. to starting your preparations at around 7 p.m., that's difficult.
190.
Still don't know who he's pointing at when he hits those maximums.
Well, he's pointing in the direction of an average way in excess of a ton, 105.09 at this present moment in time.
That's one of my favourite jokes, actually. When you see a mannequin in a shop window and they're in one of those poses,
131.
they're probably saying to each other, what are we pointing at? And we'll never know.
57. Stephen, you require 50.
Stevie Johnston is bossing this game all of a sudden. That was for a 10-darter.
38.
He'll find himself on double 6 when he comes back. And if he wins for a 4th consecutive time against one of Yorkshire's
98.
best new players,
Stephen, you require 12.
we've got to start thinking that he may just be the kryptonite of Tom Sykes.
Well, it feels like that 14
6.
darter that he attained in the first leg is nothing more than a drop of the ocean as far as proceedings this match is concerned. But Johnson's left himself on double 3, and so Sykes knows if he can
45.
put pressure on, which he can't do with that
Stephen, you require
turn,
6.
he could just force the hand of the Scot.
Game
For the
shot
double
in the
3 is
third leg.
pinned, 16
Stephen
darter,
Johnston.
breaker throw. And guess what the score is? Tom Sykes with throw 1, Stephen Johnston against the
Well,
darts,
Stephen to throw
2.
first. Game on.
This is where you've really got to program your preparation well. Playing at this time of night in some tournaments is a fabulous sign of success.
100.
This is only their 3rd game of the night. They've got another one to come. Sykes has got Wolfie Adams in game 10. Johnston has got Parry in
96.
game 9. You've got to make sure you eat at the right time, eat the right stuff, hydrate properly, and make sure that your energy levels will last the rest of the night.
140.
Well, there's the score in power pack, and as you can see there,
134.
that's kind of been the story of Stephen Johnston's week. The 140 plus stakes, he's been so strong and so reliable in.
95.
And he's on the cusp of opening up a 3-1 lead here.
What points tally's going to see somebody through this
90.
group at this
Stephen,
stage, do you think, Henry? Do you think,
126.
like most weeks, you've got to get to 8 to feel any sort of comfort, or is 6 going to be enough?
we could still have the possibility of every player on 8 points.
Dream on.
Well, why is it still a distinct possibility? I'm going to allow myself to dream.
Stephen,
you just stay over there in Dreamland. I'm just going to stay here in Reelsville. 3-1 Johnston. That's what it is.
Stephen Johnston.
He's going for it again. If he breaks in leg 5, he'll have done Sykes in 5 or 4 legs every time he's played him.
Doing a demolition job. It feels like so far tonight, Tom Sykes is playing in patches. Had that great first leg against Kurt Parry. And then won that game in 2 blocks, didn't he? Went 2-0 up, was pulled back to 2-2, then won 4-2. Scared a mini revival against Hogan in his second game.
I'll tell you one thing, if Tom loses this match,
43.
He may just need to get something really positive against Adams in game 10. To set up game 1 with Wolfie later tonight. If he can be on 6 points with 3 games to go,
161.
I still think he's going to make Saturday comfortably. But one thing's for sure, and I don't mix my words here, he's completely sick of the sight of this guy from Scotland this week.
Well, this is a much improved legs. Left double 12 after 12.
100.
Johnston keeps close enough order to keep him honest if this doesn't go. But that is perfectly laid. There's 2 perfect guides. There's no way the third could miss.
I bet you Kurt Parry could have missed that. He would have found the middle of the points. A bit like the previous match where he went for double 18 and miraculously missed it.
100.
Well, we've been delving into the YouTube chat room, and this is a great question from Adam Gillian. Which players would you like to see at the Super Series as a debutante?
Would you like to say the word debutante more French?
140.
Debutante.
That was a rhetorical question, but okay, thanks for that. As a debutant.
96.
Well, we already know that Bo Greaves is going to make her debut. So we'll go away from that. I was asked earlier in the week about any other female debutantes, and I said Yukie Sakaguchi.
60.
As far as male participants are concerned, I'm going to get my thinking cap on. I'll come back to you on that one.
We'll discuss that a bit more in the next game because Stephen Johnston's hoping the crescendo to this match is as easy as 1, 2, 3. And he's going to get 6 to complete the job. And it'll be the 7th game tonight that goes against the darts. Triple 20, double 19 for the match. And an incredible way to go for 1, 2, 3. But it was as easy as that. Stephen Johnston gets the better of Tom Sykes by 4 legs to 2. It's the 7th game tonight that has gone against the darts. Something incredible is happening beneath this roof this evening, I have to say. A 98.69 average in that match for him. 4th from 11 on the doubles. A 1, 2, 3 checkout to boot 2. We're going to take a very short break. And when we return, we're going to watch Paul Hogan in action up against Wolfie Martin Adams. Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where in the midnight hour, all sorts of weird wonderings are going on. And just to make it a little bit weirder, we're going to watch a wolf and a crocodile sling it out against one another. That doesn't sound creepy at all, does it? But it's the MODUS Super Series, where basically anything and everything will happen, particularly tonight.
This is positively mundane, Henry. A crocodile against a wolf. We can do anything in darts. Anything you want. Nickname versus nickname. Yes, get your suggestions in on the YouTube chat. What would be the ultimate, let's find out who wins between such and such versus such and such. And you can't put rubbish nicknames that just end in a Y. It's got to be something creative. Like the wizard versus the mole. The kind of thing that you'd only find in a computer game.
Well, I'd like to see Excalibur, David Cameron against Kevin the Artist paint, because we'll then see whether the pen is mightier than the sword.
Oh, that's already been used. But it's a very good example of what we're talking about.
Instantly, who would win in a fight between a wolf and a crocodile?
I think a wolf is slightly faster. And they've got really good hearing. So they'd be able to hear a crocodile coming.
And as we established earlier, going in a zigzag line, you'd be absolutely fine. But Paul Hogan's got off to a real good start here. Ton 177, his first couple of scoring visits. And we do tend to see it a fair bit from him here at the Super Series, that at this time of night, he just begins to awaken. He's left himself 1-2-4 after 3 visits. Adams way back.
Yeah, good start here from Hoagie.
85.
Which I believe is a sandwich.
Well, you require 124.
Very good American sandwich, I think. But Paul is not a sandwich. He is a very good dart player.
98.
Thank you for the clarification.
That is a great leave of double 13. We are seeing some so strange leaves tonight. What was that 1-2-3 about with Stevie Johnston? Who finishes 1-2-3 on double 19? Well, it's not a rhetorical question. Because apparently Stevie Johnston does.
26.
It worked very well for his 4th consecutive victory against Tom Sykes. Does this one work very well?
No,
not yet.
But they all hugged the wire, didn't they? This really has been a strange evening. A real strange night.
What number do you think is on the back of Martin's shirt?
Well, I can tell you, it's 26 for his 26 Lakeside World Championship appearances.
26.
Paul, you require 26.
Double 4.
Game
for
shot
1-0. Now,
Hogan.
the wise amongst you will see 26 on the shirt and think, well, didn't Martin play at 27 World Championships? But those 26 are for Lakeside appearances.
Yes, they are. I was there when he made an appearance on the stage, and he was given a plaque for his 25 World Championship appearances at Lakeside. Myself and Chris Mason and Richard Ashdown and Mikuru Suzuki was there. We all had a great celebration on the stage. It was a genuinely brilliant thing. And one of my prized possessions is that I have a photograph of everybody who was part of that celebration at a bouncing Saturday night at Lakeside. It was spine-chillingly good.
And forever a popular player on the Lakeside. We covered the first WDF World Championships together. He got knocked out in the first game to Jared Cole, but stayed on to do a bit of punditry. And every single time he was on the stage doing a link with Lindsay Hipgrave, it was a case of you just couldn't hear anything in the auditorium because all you can hear was all the wolf whistles.
Absolutely right. These guys have played each other away from the Super Series before on 2 occasions, 14 years apart. But I'm going to take you all the way back to 2006.
100.
A time in darts where something happened that would have an effect on the next couple of decades. These two met
in the last 64, and Martin Adams won by 3 sets to 1. Martin would make it all the way to the final, but he would lose to a child.
99.
A spiky-haired, green-shirted child that would turn into a 3-time PDC world champion named Michael van Gerwen.
$80.
Well, Adams leads himself first to a finish in leg 2. It's been... Oh, my, that's the second one that Hogan's had this evening in terms of Robin Hood. I hope he's got more spares.
Where's Guido when you need him? Double 16.
63.
Hogan has finished the running repairs and is back at the hockey post-haste. 42, surely. Gets it, tops.
82.
Very close. Very close indeed.
But it opens up the door again for Wolfie. Who needs no second invitation on the double 16. Level we are 1-1.
How much do you remember about the 2006 World Masters, Henry? You were how old? About 2?
I would have been 6.
It was a good tournament. Very good tournament. Semi-finalists in that event. Mark Webster lost to Michael van Gerwen in the semi-finals by 6 sets to 3. Wolfie beat Steve Farmer
60.
in the semis by 6 sets to 0 and averaged nearly 104. And remember, this is before Martin became
100.
any sort of world champion. He won his first world championship in 2007.
Being the late, great Phil Nixon in that final, who we remember very, very fondly. Just to make you feel even sicker, and this could really test our relationship, Paul.
I didn't even know we were in a relationship.
I was 8 when you made your world championship debut.
180.
Right now I feel like I'm sucking on a lemon. Yeah, I was 29.
180.
Oh yeah, this is the kind of game I want to see now. They're going toe to toe. Don't go, Bolt. Oh, Paul,
No
what you
score.
done? Silly boy. Oh, welcome to the Hall of Fame of Classic Busts.
Should have gone for Bull.
Yeah, maybe he should have. He just can't believe what he's just done. And for that reason,
43.
in the future, Hoagie,
going
go for a
121.
14 for double 18, because if you hit the treble, you can still leave double 4.
Well, here we go again. And he goes 25 for double 18 this time. And it would have been so
103.
ironic and so typical if he had pinned it on that occasion. There's a little bit of a laugh. We have a window in the commentary box that looks onto the stage. Hogan's just had a little bit of a look up at it with a wry smile and a chuckle.
82.
But now down to the serious business, because Adams has left himself on a finish. He's split this a couple of times tonight to success. But the success won't continue on this occasion.
We all know why Paul Hogan has lost this leg if Martin takes this. Because of the decision he made earlier in the leg. However, he is going to come back for double 8, which in fact
56.
is a double that has cost him dear before
16.
against a certain Dozer in 2017. It was this double. Had he hit it, he would have taken Durant out.
8.
Well, the year that won Glenn his first world championship. But it didn't happen. And
Game
Wolfie
from the
takes the leg
further.
anyway, and that
Martin
is
Adams.
a miraculous break of throw.
Maybe it is destined for every game to go against throw after all.
Game on.
Yeah, that is exasperating. And even with 30 plus years of experience, these kind of situations can still make you feel green around the gills.
140.
Well, you don't need to be an expert to tell you that 1 from 14 on the doubles isn't going to help you along the path very well. Those flights have not been helpful
60.
at all to Paul Hogan tonight, have they?
Yeah, they've been pinged, they've been popped off, they've been sawn in half by his own point. Didn't you use the word destiny in the previous leg?
Yes.
You know, they've got a very famous song that goes something along the lines of all the single ladies. I'm not really a big fan of that song. But if it's something to do with darts and destiny, maybe something about all the singles. Because it was the single that Hogan missed
100.
in that previous leg that set up all of the failures.
Well, Paul Hogan's had more haphazardness in terms of flights than a budget airline.
How many times has Wolfie stood behind an opponent, watched them falter, and then taken the crumbs? That's what you got to do.
One word he's using tonight: experience. And using it to full effect. He's not going to take out the 136, but he doesn't have to take out the 136. He's got a couple of goals to complete the fourth leg. Having done the hard work the very hard way in the previous leg, he's left himself a single to double after 12.
If I may, because we are at the point of this game where it's extremely possible that Adams is going to win. Let's see if he can hit tops first, though. Double 10 instead.
No score.
Well, he's busted this time, but it's not as bad as Paul's situation in the previous leg of this match.
60.
Now he has to burn a dart to get to the outer ring again. Double top. Doesn't miss this time. So, I wonder what the price was for the first 8 matches to be won against the darts. That would be enormous, right? Remember, it's over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly. And begambleaware.org for more information. Please gamble responsibly, especially at this late hour. But I would be fascinated to see just what the odds were. If that was the case. It would be in the thousands.
If you put a pound on that, then you're going to be a very wealthy person going into tomorrow. I haven't forgotten as well about that question in the chat room about debutante players that we want to see here at the Super Series.
Oh, well, if you're talking about here, it's Richie Burnett. Richie played loads of games in Southampton, our previous studio, but as far as this place, Richie Burnett.
100.
Now, I've got two. Now, I've said this for a long, long time now, but I would love to see Rhiannon O'Sullivan get a go at the Super Series.
42.
You look at the level that she's ascertained for a long time now, her history in the sport, having made a couple of world finals, I think she'd deal with this environment very well. Maybe give her a Thursday, Friday group and see how she gets on there. And in terms of players for a male variety,
39.
Man Not Long, for me, played excellently at the World Championships. I'd love to see some more of those Asian players who have really come to fruition have a go at this tournament.
60.
From that regard, stick my pal Lol in here then. Lauren Silligan. If he was here, he'd have everybody positive, bouncing, running around this place. He is a ball full of energy. We wouldn't be asking for any more energy if he was here.
Anyway, can Adams get the job done? Can he do this with a 146?
146.
For another game against the darts in the can. It's not going to go. Can Hogan find a Hail Mary 154?
46. Are we recording 150?
Yeah, but how many
Wide receivers has he got in the end zone? Not enough, apparently. But we are approaching the tight end of this match.
You require 100.
Is it going to be touchdown Adams?
And his name is not Devontae Adams, it's Martin Adams.
But we require 54.
As they say in American football, you don't score until you score.
All right, American Pie. That's lacrosse.
Game shot on the 5th leg.
Not American
Paul
football.
Hogan.
You just got that completely wrong. I've just sold you down the river, haven't I? And Paul Hogan's made sure we've got more legs in this match.
There gets Martin to throw first.
But you're right.
Game on.
You don't score until you score. Until you score. That's a classic line from American Pie. Isn't that right, baby? Spoken by the old
121.
Stiffmeister.
People say, Henry, what do people say your film character reference usually is? Most of them say Jim Lovenstein.
140.
Really? They think you're like Jim?
I get two comparisons in terms of characters, Jim Lovenstein or Will from The In-Betweeners.
That one's more accurate.
Something about a briefcase.
140.
And every time you wear a tie, I've got to correct it. Well, I did teach a Premier League footballer how to do a
26.
double Windsor. That's one of my pointless facts. Alessandro Pistoni, who played for Newcastle and Everton, I taught him how to tie a tie back in the year 2000.
Year I was born.
Get out. Get in.
180.
And Adams is on the brink. He's threatening an 11 darter to win the match 4-2. And to continue this just quite ridiculous trend this evening,
88.
this would be the
Martin
8th
requires
game
60.
in succession that would have gone against the throat. And he has got 6. It's tops. It's there.
Game
And it's
shot
the
and the
8th
match.
successive game this
Martin
evening
Adams.
that has gone against the throw. This has been incredible. This has been mind-boggling. And it's just kind of against all sorts of belief, really. Martin Adams, as always, seeing the funny side of a game of darts. A 4-2 victory against Paul Hogan. 85.5 the average, 50% when it came to the finishing. But those double stats for Paul Hogan is something that he will not want to read and look back upon fondly. 2 from 16 when it came to the outer ring. Coming up next, Stephen Johnston up against Kurt Parry. Parry is against the darts. Will the trend continue? Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we approach the penultimate match of our evening session. It's Stephen Johnston and Kurt Parry go toe-to-toe. Before the break, perhaps not a surprise, Martin Adams won against the darts, beating Paul Hogan by 4-2. We've played 8 games this evening. All 8 have gone against the darts. Kurt Parry is the player against the throw here. He'll be hoping that trend continues. And if that does happen, Nick, we will be 1 game away from all players being prized on 4 points.
That will give us 2 groups on Friday that we can't really call who's going to get through. Meaning that we have to tune in tomorrow.
Game on.
Or indeed later today if you're in this particular time zone. But one thing that's been really impressive for Stephen Johnston tonight is the bounce back after the disappointment in Group A and the ability to win darts matches like Clark Kent or Superman. Wore glasses in the first half. Then after that, he's Super Stephen Johnston. I'll make that reference because he is the kryptonite of a certain Tom Sykes, who he's beaten 4 times this week now. When they have their 5th match, which Tom Sykes will be desperate to win, that will be game number 4 come Friday evening, which will be somewhere around about 11:15. Johnston is now one of 2 people who have had a 170 finish this week. But you and I both know, and I mean you as in our fans, you cannot finish 165. But he has the luxury now of 6 darts from
90.
there.
Stephen, you require 40.
Double 10.
35.
Triple split means 71. Kurt can steal. Oh, that was a risk.
36.
1 dart that was in the registered target. The other 2 were big misses. That is a missed single.
No score.
Not for the first time here tonight.
You require 35.
Oh, these players just getting a little bit of fatigue at this very late portion of their session.
3.
Possibly.
Stephen, you require 5.
Even before this match began, Stephen Johnston was top of the table. He would love to stay there overnight. It would be the 3rd day of this week that he's been top of the table.
No score. Okay, you require 32. Game shot on
there you go. It's a 19 dart break throw for KP. You'll be wondering how on earth that's happened.
Second leg, it's Kurt to throw first.
Lo and behold, you might be surprised to know that Kurt Parry does not have the darts in this game, so obviously he's going to win it.
60.
That's a bit like saying halfway through a horse race, you know that horse at the back that seems a bit lame and isn't up at the pace? Well, he's obviously going to win.
55. $57. 95.
Now, Stephen is 1 point shy of the darting albatross territory. We've seen that a couple of times in this building. Jake McMillan and a certain series champion in Jim McEwen, who has done
60.
Pretty much everything in this building, apart from a 9 dart leg and winning double trouble. He's done everything else.
93.
You might be wondering why I've been quiet for so long.
I've been loving it.
Paul Hogan has been involved in a group at the Super Series that has finished all square on points after day 1.
Would you like a gold star?
Please.
60.
I've just put it in the middle of his forehead.
Well, Parry's left on 10 for a 2-0 lead in this particular match. Triple 18 isn't going to go, and so Johnston has the opportunity to square up with 136.
Oh, interesting. And when you consider that he's already taken a 136 this week with 2 treble 20s and double 8, why did he decide on a different route?
16. Stephen, you require 72.
Well, he went for 2 double 18s previously this week. He's not going to do it again. He's going to go for another single, which leaves tops.
32.
And he bends the wire.
You require 40.
Here we go. For 2-0. And it's happening again.
Parry.
Is anybody going to hold throw in their match tonight? It might not happen.
They'll get Stephen to throw first. Game on.
This is like walking up to a roulette table in a casino and seeing that there's been 25 straight black numbers.
95.
And 24 consecutive times you've had it on red.
To go back to that ridiculous
80.
stat of Paul Hogan, that happened in Series 2, Week 6, Group B. And amongst the runners,
83.
James Richardson, Josh Payne, David Cameron amongst that particular mix. It actually finished Payne 10, Hogan 10, Richardson 8 in terms
60.
of qualification. The bottom 2 players were on 6 points in that group. So there is a precedent for these tight groups to happen, and incredibly enough, Paul Hogan's been involved in one of those situations.
Well, look on the bright side. How many times have we talked about people getting 4 points on the first night of a Group B campaign? It's not a bad evening's work. It's a win ratio of 50%. And it gives you something to work with on day 2. It could have been a lot worse for Hogan tonight.
59. Stephen Nibrock, 157.
But what it does mean is that other people have got opportunities to be above said player.
81.
This is where Kurt wants to hit the 20 with a second dart. And he went 12s there because he did not want to bust that. That is really intelligent.
He's already seen the issues of before. It's double 12 now after hitting the double 16, Johnston. Skims
52.
the wire.
You require 48.
Parry back for the double break and a 3-0 lead. 2 in hand at double 16. Is pinned for a 3-0 lead.
Parry.
Do you want to say it or shall I?
The fact that we haven't had a 4-0 tonight. Absolutely.
Kurt to throw first. Game
Or were you thinking of something else? Well, I think Stephen Johnston feels like a very posh Homer Simpson at the minute. Do the peen of it all.
80.
It's 1:45 in the morning in the UK, and you can tell that Paul Nicholson's into the 14th hour of his shift here.
100.
Got to have some fun with it, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Not at the player's expense, I might add, because I know what they're going through.
100.
The pain of being 3-0 down is not nice. But I think it's very easy
60.
to say which character he'd be in The Simpsons, seeing as he's from Scotland. Do you know which football team groundskeeper Willie supports?
140.
No idea.
Aberdeen. Because he's woken
60.
in the grounds of the school from a slumber, and his first 2 words when he wakes up with an abrupt nature are, "Go Aberdeen."
135.
It could be. Go Parry here. Go figure as far as the precarious nature of tonight's concerned. Johnston
180.
hits what could be a dead cat max, or it could be scoreboard pressure, but it's double 16 for the match for Kurt Parry to round off with a 14-darter, a 4-0 win. And out of 9 games tonight, that's now 9 against the darts. This is quite simply staggering. Quite simply beyond anything you could have conceived at the beginning of the night. Sometimes in the backstage production area, we make a little bit of a joke about every game going in a certain direction. But if Tom Sykes beats Martin Adams, every game tonight will go against the darts. Incredible! Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series. It's Group B. It's game 10 of 10. Martin Adams against Tom Sykes is our final match of the evening session. An evening session where every game has gone against the darts so far this evening. If Tom Sykes beats Martin Adams here, we will have a situation which is, well, hardly ever been seen here before. Every single player overnight being on 4 points.
Game on.
Let us not forget that Martin Adams now has an opportunity to lead this table overnight. And who was tipping Martin to do well here in this group? I didn't hear many mutterings over the last few days of the possibility of Wolfie getting the lead after the first day. Everybody was talking about Sykes. They were talking about maybe Parry would come back to form here.
40.
Adams, regardless of what happens in this game, is very much in the equation. And that is exciting for anybody here and for anybody coming here on Saturday night. Remember, you can be with us
100.
if you're watching this at this late hour and you have access to the internet, which is kind of sensible considering you're watching it on the internet.
140.
If you can access that QR code right there with your smart device, that will direct you to our tickets page where you can reserve your seat for Saturday night for the Week 6 finals, where you may indeed
100.
see the legend that is Martin Adams and indeed Tom Sykes, both fighting it out over the next couple of nights to see who will be crowned the Week
57.
6 champion. We'd love to see you here. A small booking fee of only a couple of quid. And then we've got some drinks offers here as well. And some great world-class darting action. We hope to see you here.
Well, Martin Adams could put himself in a position where if he wins and does the double over Tom Sykes, he could put 1 foot into the final on Saturday because of the congealed nature of the rest of the group. And in doing so, would put Tom Sykes very close to the exit door. And I'm not sure anybody would have been saying that at the beginning of proceedings.
Not at all.
135.
In fact, I said exactly the opposite. I said before some of the games were played that I couldn't see a situation where Tom Sykes was not. He's going to go for this, you know.
101.
And I'm sure he's going to go straight for the double 17 upon his return. The lesser spotted double 17, which is going to be under oodles upon oodles upon oodles of pressure.
34.
How much?
Oodles.
Well, that was not for the single two, I assure you.
No score.
That's why people don't like double 17.
Tommy
You've got to be
required
really
26.
cagey with it. In fact, both players here are on the two most rarely seen doubles. 17s and 13s. 2 4s. Had to get past his own flight and couldn't.
Martin, you require 34.
He wants 2 17s. Well, he's decided to split.
That is one of the best misses of the week.
Two.
But maybe they weren't
Tommy
the best
required
darts
26.
to follow up said miss. Double 13 again. This is why people don't like double 17 and double 13.
22.
Because they can lead
Martin,
you into a
required
very,
32.
very dark path.
I don't know about you, Paul, but I felt that last start there for Tom was slightly
He's on the
rushed as
Thursday.
Adams takes out the
Martin
double
Adams.
16 to lead 1-0.
Well, Adams has been booking
Second
trends
Tom
for the
to
last
protest.
10 years.
Game on.
People have talked about, is he going to retire? Is he going to stop? Nah. He's had some tough times in the last
100.
15 years as Martin, but he is plodding on, as per usual, at the game he adores. And there will be a lot of happy people around the darting world if he is on top of the table on 6 points here tonight.
80.
Well, do you remember a couple of years ago when... Well, it's a couple of years ago this week where we were at the Lakeside, ahead of that first round game he played against
43.
Jared Cole, there was a lot of people that thought Martin Adams was a genuine chance of winning a 4th world title.
I think it's fair to say that
the way the game has progressed in the WDF and the way that
57.
Martin is pitching his tent in World Darts now, that a 4th world title is no longer going to happen. And he's okay with that.
60.
But I think he would love one more piece of glory just to say thank you to the world of darts, whether it's a Super Series title, whether it's just a weekly title, because he hasn't got one in Portsmouth, or whether it's a seniors
98.
title, like a Masters or a Match Play, which are coming up later in the spring and summer.
Do you think if he won at the Circus Tavern at the beginning of next
44.
year, he'll say, do you know what? I'm going to ride off into the sunset on the ultimate high.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I think that would be a nice way to go out. This is a poignant year, 2024, because it's going to be the last year of Steve beating on the PDC Pro Tour.
95.
I'd love to see him make Ali Pali, but I guarantee you this. If he does, and he loses out at Ali Pali, there will be
100.
tears. And I'll be one of them.
I was going to say, first and foremost, Dan Dawson would be incandescent in terms of tearage.
Don't worry, he's got Andrew Gilding to lean on.
Imagine if they drew round 1.
He'd have to get his
60.
John Henderson yoga mat for him to lie down on.
54.
Tom, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but you're the person who's
98.
supposed to win this
Martin
game to
Require,
create history with
111.
10 breaks of throw in tonight's fixtures. It's not looking very likely at the minute, especially if double 16 is found.
Well, it's been a night that's made us go, aye, in more ways than one. Tots for Sykes. Double 10. Oh,
No
my.
score.
In terms of the finishing, it's
Martin
been an
Require,
absolute
32.
nightmare.
But where's his miss been? Low. Is that the sign of a tired arm? Martin thought that was good. The darts assistant referee says, nope, it's not. Somewhere in the middle of those two would be good.
Game shot
That will be
leg.
fine. It's 2-0 to
Martin
Wolfie.
Adams.
Should also be noted, Tom Sykes has never played a Group B before because his previous
That
appearances have been in
against
Group
Martin
C, and when he
to
played
first.
Champions Week, he won the Group A. I don't think it's the 5 Live commentator, Alan Green.
Oh, that's a shame.
60.
Will Steve Beaton be at MODUS next year? I would imagine that we will see the bronzed Adonis here.
That would be something. It's good to see Steve anywhere. If you've never had the pleasure of meeting Steve, it's a genuine pleasure.
180.
142 away from a
58.
3-0 lead, and Tom
Martin
Sykes
Require,
looks like
142.
someone who has dropped 20 quid and found a bucket of vomit instead.
And the last person who hates buckets
102.
like that is Hyacinth Bouquet.
I'm not sure how you got there, but
139.
Well, Martin
Require,
Adams isn't
40.
keeping up appearances here, is he?
oh, there it is.
He might be
It's
having
a
his own
further.
candlelight supper as he
Martin
leads 3-0.
Yeah, it's a bit of an onslaught, not an onslaw.
Fourth leg, it's Tom to throw.
3-0 Wolfie.
Game.
And at the minute, this is turning into a midnight feast for Wolfie.
A preeminent
57.
theme towards the proceedings.
By the way, have you seen the back of Martin's shirt with the two-headed wolf and the dartboard in the middle? I know there are people out there who really, really don't like dart shirts with dartboards on them. But if you look at the back of his shirt here,
125.
wouldn't that make the best dart surround? The two-headed wolf dartboard surround. Just a little bit of a marketing tip there for you, Martin, to see if you
58.
want something for your pension.
Also, to the sleeve of the shirt there, you can see the Prostate Cancer UK Man of Men badge. And actually, Martin this evening has been dishing them around the practice room. Referee Owen Binks has been handed one of them. I've actually been handed one of them up here in the commentary box. I know it's a
95.
charity that you've been endorsing for a long time, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. Just want to
carry on raising the awareness.
130.
And the brilliant work that Martin's done for everybody who has suffered from that affliction, including many people in the world of darts, including Martin and Dennis Priestley and some others. Just make sure that you get checked. If you go online,
60.
there are certain websites that allow you to get checked in as little as 5 minutes. 5 minutes just to check yourself
93.
is nothing.
Yeah, Martin's been a great ambassador towards that charity over the past 10 years or so.
85.
Oh, Tom's left himself on a bogey number here. This is like a 90s dance song, this. Down, 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 to down.
127.
That's really good.
146.
There's a possibility that could be the last shot of his night.
Remember, Martin Adams was the outsider of the 5 players at the beginning of the night. He was a 15-2 chance.
100.
I am not ashamed to say that I completely forgot about that. We just had a bagel in the previous match. We might get another.
Martin, you require 46.
Well, this would put Martin Adams to the summit of the Group B table, double 16. And it is advantage Wolfie going into tomorrow night's session. Martin Adams with the only win from a player who had the darts in a game this evening. And that could be oh so important as Tom Sykes puffs his cheeks out, heads downstage, bottom of the table. Well, Tom Sykes went off the bookmaker's favourite, and he's bottom of the pile. Martin Adams went off the bookmaker's outsider. He is top of the table. And with an emphatic 4-0 win, 82.36 the average, 4 from 14 when it came to the doubles. He demolished Tom Sykes in that particular encounter. Myself and Nico, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to try our best to make sense of what happened this evening in a couple of minutes. Well, what a bizarre evening here at the MODUS Super Series in Portsmouth. Myself and Paul Nichols have been watching every single one of the 10 games this evening. We nearly saw every single game go against the darts. It was Martin Adams that stopped that trend, and it means he's got a massive advantage now going into tomorrow evening.
Yeah, and he's playing Tom Sykes in the first game of Friday night as well. If he can do the double over him, 8 points should be good enough to make it through, but he's got a bit of a head start on everybody else, and you got to fancy Martin for getting the job done. Has he played his best stuff tonight? I'd say no. Has he needed to? No. It's all about points. But if you'd said to me at around 12:55 yesterday afternoon that Matt Cast and Martin Adams would be top of the two groups, I would have said, I'm not sure about that, but the unpredictability of the last 25 games we've seen here in the MODUS Super Series have taken my breath away.
It's been a crazy evening's worth of entertainment. Let's confirm then what we have seen over the course of the last few hours. And as you can see, Martin Adams will have the advantage going into tomorrow because he's the only player in gold on the left-hand side of the bracket. And that means Tom Sykes, who was the bookmaker's favourite, is now going to be the player who's got ground to make up.
Yes, he does. You see that game against Wolfie in game one as a huge task for him. If he doesn't get the job done there, he's going to be cut adrift a little bit. But it's not just about the points now for Tom. His leg difference isn't great as a result of that 4-0 loss. You looked at his demeanour at the end of that last match, and he looked fairly dejected. And he did look fatigued as well. So he must try. And it's very hard to try and sleep well, but he's got to set his mind at ease and try and get some good rest ahead of Friday night.
And Martin Adams really did take opportunities when they arose. There was a moment in the game against Paul Hogan where Hogan bust the 1-2-1 out. Then it got a little bit scrappy, but Martin then took full advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, just look at this. He's in rhythm, is Paul Hogan. He's looking at the score and then is trying to throw the dart without complete focus. By busting that 50, it's just frazzled Hogan. And as a result, Martin Adams picks up the scraps and takes what is a very vital win. You've got to fancy that Hogan will be happy with 4 points for the night, but Martin Adams is going to be really pleased with 6.
Who else, though, will be happy with their evening's work out of that pack on 4?
I'm not sure anyone's going to be happy with 4. It's the kind of night that if you can impose yourself, you might have been able to walk away with 8 points. I don't think Kurt Parry's going to be happy with his form at all. I think he'll walk away and think, 4 points, do you know what? That could have been a lot worse. Tom Sykes on 2, he's going to be devastated. And as far as Stephen Johnston's concerned, maybe to answer your question, after what happened in Group A, 4 points is not a bad night's work.
As far as Kurt Parry's concerned, why do you think he'll feel a little bit disappointed? Because we saw him play so well the last time he was here.
What he did say to you earlier was very apt. He said he hasn't played a great deal, and let's not forget, there are flashes of it, like that 136, but he's using slightly different equipment. I get the feeling he's on the search for that magical ingredient that is going to give him a chance to defend that champion of champions later in the year, and that little ingredient that is going to give him the spark to be the player that he has always wanted to be. I don't think it's quite there yet. I'm not sure he's found that magical ingredient.
Well, let's have a look at the table then. Following the first night's play, as far as Group B is concerned, Martin Adams, Wolfie, leads the way going into the final day's proceedings. And there's always an old romantic, isn't there, when a player like Martin Adams turns up here at the Super Series, where we'd love to see him, or most people watching would love to see him rekindle those old memories.
Yeah, we are romantics and we want to see Martin get a weekly title, but it's the same with Robert Thornton, isn't it? Because of what they have achieved in the past, we want to see them have some sort of success here. And the same goes for Leonard Gates. Whenever he turns up, we think, is this going to be Leonard's week? Weekly titles are not given out here. They're for the people who do the right things at the right times and are able to finish the job. So far, Gates, Thornton and Adams have not done it. But the romantics in us, they want to see Wolfie speaking to either one of us at the end of a Saturday night, which would make a lot of people happy.
Really, really would. And the action will continue tomorrow from 1 o'clock. You got the double shift again tomorrow, haven't you?
Looking forward to it. Group C, I just don't know. 6 names, throw them in the air and see who falls. And when it comes to Group B, it's going to be exactly the same. I can't wait for another 25 matches.
Right, you get to escape me tomorrow afternoon. You got Murph with you. I'll see you tomorrow night. We'll see you, though, tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock. We kickstart our coverage to see how Group C culminates. But as far as Group B is concerned, I suppose B really was for break.